Welcome everyone to news on news. I'm sorry to the
Not
chat.
news on the flip side.
I know
Welcome
I'm
to the
trying to give
chat.
y'all the wrong show tonight. I apologize for that, ladies and gents. We had a good show of news on the flip side last night. There's a lot of good stuff on, but I just, you know, we're going to be going live here in a few minutes. We have our guest with us right now. She's a beautiful lady down there. She's ready to cause some trouble. I can see she got this smile on her face, like that's it. Y'all are in trouble, boys. But we're gonna get to her in just a few minutes. We got some music coming up, like we always do. Have intros. We're getting close to the holiday season, so technically we're in the holiday season. So you'll hear more and more holiday music. During Halloween or Halloween month, as I like to call it. Um, yeah, well, October is a month of Halloween for me. It's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
October really starts the whole holiday season, in my opinion. I don't know
yeah,
why they
so
say it's Thanksgiving, but it really starts in October.
so anyway, we play Halloween music the whole time. But so now you'll start hearing more and more Christmas music and some fall ditties and stuff. We have 40 live shows on this network with like 45 hosts, not including another 60 syndicated. So there's a lot of shows out there to listen to and a lot of people talking about a lot of different things. But we do try to keep it light during the holidays. And like I said, we will be giving away some books tonight. Actually, we will. I'll show you all that when we come back. How's that? So right now we're going to take a quick break. I want everyone to hang out and listen to some music and get your brain ready for the holiday. I'm telling you, I'm almost there, man. What are we, 42 days or something till Christmas?
Something about that. Yeah, I'll get while we're on break or while we're on doing the music in the promo, I'll get the counters back up.
Yeah, I mean, no, people, it's close. I mean, it's like you sneeze and you might go right past it. But anyway, let me kick on this music right quick and we'll be right back. Hang out, enjoy the music. Most of y'all should know this group by now. If not, shame on you is all I can say. It's Christmas music, Johnny. Yes, calm down. It's a little rock orientated Christmas music, but it's still Christmas now. Johnny, it's a very famous orchestra. Thank you very much.
Are you ready to explore the unknown? Dive into the world of the strange, mysterious, and unexplained with Eerie Expeditions magazine. Each issue is packed with spine-tingling tales, cutting-edge paranormal investigations, and exclusive insights into hauntings, cryptids, UFOs, and more. Whether you're a seasoned investigator or just love a good ghost story, Eerie Expeditions magazine has something for you. Join our growing community of truth seekers and adventure lovers. Subscribe today at EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com and unlock the secrets of the supernatural. Are you ready? That's EerieExpeditionsMagazine.com, where the extraordinary is just a click away. Dare to discover.
Just like a little Beethoven to kick off the night. I hope everybody enjoyed those little intros there, just to get your blood going a little bit. You know, people always tell me, you used to always play the classics. Well, we still play the classics. It's just sometimes they're amped up a little bit.
Those guys were pretty classical. Trans-Siberian. I
No,
saw them in
it's an
concert
orchestra.
before they got
It's
into the light shows and all. They're very, very. I mean, they don't. I mean, they play Jimi Hendrix and they do Led Zeppelin and stuff, but they're very, very good, and they're all classically trained musicians.
Yes, they're very good at that. I see we have this young lady down here with us down here who's hiding in the in the box. Do you notice, lady? Who is
I
this
don't
girl?
know, Dr. Scott. No, how are you doing?
Hi.
We're just giving you trouble at night. I haven't talked about Pascagoula in a while, Dr. Ian, and I really will enjoy this because it's ufology. Anything I like to talk about. We host a show. Somehow or another, they didn't when they originally sent out the original email to you. We host a show called UFO Undercover on Wednesdays. It's just pure UFO stuff, and it's almost. What is this, 2025? So it's 28, 29-year-old show. It's been around for a long time.
Wow.
And anybody's been on. So it's a great show. So I'll have to get you back on it. But this is a chat. This show is a different format. It's an audience-driven format. Averages between 3 and 5.5, 5.6 million listeners. It's a lot of fun to talk on. So Dr. Irene, what let me ask you this. What first off, because I'm gonna get you to tell us the title on your book in just a second, but first question is what possessed you to even write a book about anything extraterrestrial related?
Well, I always wanted to be an astronomer, but
Me
they
too.
didn't hire females back then. And so I went into other fields. But now I can do ufology, and it's as close to astronomy as I'll ever get. So
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
It definitely gets you into the stars, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, any good ufologist is at least an amateur astronomist. I mean, I started taking astronomy in 4-H in high school, and actually even before then, that and photography, I love both of them. It's just I got sidetracked when I joined the military. Leave it at that. But anyway, it's what it is. But I want to say I was 8 or 9 when Pascagoula happened. There was a weird thing that was going on. There was a wave of UFO sightings that had happened down in the South. And then there was this thing with the Pascagoula guys and the contact thing. And then I remember they decided to release these blue and green clouds to try to attract the UFOs. Even then, I mean, I was just a kid. And I'm thinking, this just doesn't seem like something that's real smart. But hey, I was a kid, so who am I to question adults? I was a child at the time. But I remember the case fascinated me, and I remember, it was dealt with as much fascination as it was skepticism. But unfortunately, times change in our country, and ufology is one of the things that sometimes is more acceptable than others. Like right now, it's coming into its kind of own and becoming more acceptable. And even through the 60s and 70s, it was a little bit more acceptable than it was in the 80s and 90s, where everybody thought you were just nuts.
Well, in the 80s and 90s, it was more of a cash cow. I mean, every show that had a mystery subtitle to it, Unsolved Mysteries, Believe It or Not, That's Incredible. Any of those shows from the mid 80s on forward, they just used these kinds of paranormal stories to garner viewership. Really, I mean, they didn't treat it as a serious subject. It was more of like a pastime.
So you start looking in this. If I ask how old you were when you started looking into, I'm always curious because I started pretty young. Unfortunately for me, I started running into people who kept telling me they were seeing strange things in the skies, and I couldn't say they were all crazy, so I had to look for myself. But I mean, because like you, I had at a young age, I really had a big thing for astronomy. I liked looking at the stars, and back then, to be honest with you, there were a lot more stars to look at.
The skies were clear.
There just was. I mean, even where I live right now, we had a place not far from here when I was a kid. If you looked up the sky, you could see the Milky Way. If I went outside and looked at my sky, it'd be a pretty sky, but nothing like it used to be. One of the most profound moments in my life, I was in New Orleans 10 days after Katrina. I was sitting out on my front porch, and we had generators running the house. There was nobody around. There was no lights anywhere. And I looked up at the sky and saw this insanely deep Milky Way crossing across the crescent of the city. And I was thinking, I've lived here my whole life and had no idea that sky was up there. Not even remotely knew that sky was up there. kind of
Yeah,
sad when you get right down to it.
When you get out to Utah, Colorado, big sky country like that, it's the amount of stars. It's phenomenal. Then the most recent rover photos, they aimed the cameras on the Mars rovers straight up during the night, and there's no atmosphere there, or very, very thin atmosphere, if any at all. And the night sky there, I mean, you think the Milky Way looks fantastic from the Gulf Coast after a hurricane. It's got color in it. When we see it, it's like they call it the Milky Way because it's just a band of white stars, really thick band of white stars. On Mars, it's like red and pink, and it's got maybe a little bit of lavender or purple in it. It's phenomenal.
It's very strange. So when did you get started? I mean, first off, just kind of give me a wait. Damn it, I'm getting tongue tied tonight. Give me an idea. I don't know what that's about because I rarely get tongue tied. But I mean, so you're doing astronomy, you're getting into it. So what case or what thing was it? I hate to say it that way, but what was it that grabbed you and said, "Hey, Dr. Scott, why don't you come look at this? Isn't this fascinating?"
Well, something happened to me at the same time that the Pascagoula thing happened, and I was living in Missouri, and my mother was living in Ohio, and my parents were living in Ohio, and I got a phone call from my mother, which was long distance, and they were poor and didn't spend a lot of money on long distance phone calls. But my mother said that she heard this strange sound like an explosion, and she asked if I heard it. And I told her, we're 600 miles away. I couldn't possibly hear this. And I joked about it with her and told her, she was off in her head and everything. And then she was a real skeptic to start with. And then several days later, she called and said there was this huge UFO wave, and that was in Ohio. Well, it was something I paid attention to because my mother was a skeptic. My parents were, and they wouldn't call me about something like that. And so many years later, I went in a library, and I decided to try to find when she had heard that noise. And I thought it was the middle of October sometime. And there were all these newspapers and things, and I couldn't imagine that I'd ever find it. And I started looking, and I found it. There was this strange sound. And at that time, it also had articles about this abduction in Pascagoula. And I didn't pay any attention to that. I just paid attention to the sound. And I did a lot of research on that, and even had a state seismologist help me with it and published about this strange sound. Well, then, which was the same time as Pascagoula. But then years later, I had written a book on UFOs and submitted it to Philip Mantle of Flying Disc Press. And he had later published a book by Charles Hickson about Pascagoula. And then he had contacted Calvin Parker. And Calvin Parker he actually, with Calvin's wife, encouraged him to come out and talk about it. And so anyway, there were other people that saw things in Pascagoula, and he wanted somebody here to interview him because, like, he's in England, he has an English accent, and down in Pascagoula they have an accent, and I was kind of in between. He asked me to interview people, and so I already had this previous interest of having something happen to me the same time as Pascagoula happened, and so I was quite interested, and that's what happened.
No, I get it. Hey, look, well, I mean, 90% of the people get in the field because something happened to them, or they had a sighting, or they had a contact, or they had something that just is out of sorts. They can't quite figure it out. I mean, I've worked a lot of cases over the years, and it's weird how it manifests itself in people's lives. People ask me all the time what you do about it. I said you should just face that something happened to you. Don't try to hide it. Don't try to suppress it. Live with it, and figure out what it was. Was it just some kind of one-time sighting, or is there something else going on that you don't know about because your brain's locked it away somewhere, or something else is locked away? I mean, there's been a lot of. I mean, currently ICAR has 134,000 cases on file that are considered legitimate abduction cases. Yeah, but that's it's such a lot of cases. And there's a lot of cases, but that's I couldn't even tell you how many we had to go through to get there. But there's 100,000 members. Currently, our membership is around 56,000 members, but it was much larger than that at one time. And so getting cases done wasn't as bad, because you get assigned 2 or 3 cases to people, and they could go through them, and then they could go, filter. The way it usually would work is, an investigator or a research person would get one, or they both get one, and they would go through it and do all the research, and then they would pass it up to the assistant director in the area, and then they would pass it up to the director. I mean, as long as they thought it was legit, until it finally got to someone like me or one of the other higher up directors, and then would decide what to do with the case. And that's so a lot of them got tossed and put on the side for whatever reasons. And then those all have what we call abduction criteria. So they all meet. We have about 125 things that we call abduction criteria. And from a combination of all those cases, that allows us to kind of figure out if someone's really been taken or not, and how long they've been being taken. Because none of us believe in one-time abduction. So none of the big researchers have been doing this for any length of time. We don't, like with Travis Walton. We don't think it was a one-time thing. Travis thinks it was a one-time thing, but none of us do, because it just doesn't fit with the way they do things. It's like when I asked Travis, "Did you stop to think, Travis, that they knew you were on the mountain?" He's like, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "Dude, you're up there with a damn chainsaw in the middle of the evening." I said, "You don't think they knew you were on a mountain?" And I said, "We're talking about extraterrestrials with advanced systems that you really don't think they knew you were on a mountain. And you're coming in that big, noisy, squeaky truck at nighttime, lights flashing all over you, and you don't think they didn't know you were on the damn mountain?" I'm like, "Travis, come on, man." And he was like, "Joe, I never thought of it like that." I'm like, "Well, they damn well knew you were there, my friend, and they damn well could have left." I said, "So the fact that they didn't means, guess what, Trav, baby? They were waiting for you." And I said, "I guarantee if I was to put you under hypnosis, you would find out that there's more than one time this has happened to you." Because I don't want to talk to you anymore, man. I was laughing, but I promised him when I met him that I would not ever ask him a question that someone had asked him before. What's up, Sean? What you doing, cutie? Dr. Scott, this is Santa Claus. And we like to introduce you. He's in incognito today, but he hangs out with us. He likes to come do the show. He's trying to find out who's been naughty and nice. So he can give his gifts out this year.
Pleasure to meet you, Dr. Scott.
Nice to meet you.
Well, we had Travis Walton. Yes. I've been reading a little bit about your stuff through Wikipedia and stuff, and there's a couple questions later on in the show I would like to ask you about your books. But back to Joe. We had Travis Walton on, okay?
That was good, yes.
When I was on Chasing Prophecy with Jenny. And what I don't understand is, okay, there was 4 other people with Travis in that truck. And it was real hard for me to understand why the other 4 did not get taken too. That's
ET was
the
like,
biggest
F
thing
you,
about
buddy.
that whole story.
But that's not unheard of in cases like these, where the wife stays in the car, the husband stays in the bed. It's not unheard of, and obviously the other 4, with the exception of later on, I can't think of his name. He's been on the network once or twice, but I can't think of his name. He later on came out and said he had contact. What was his name? Mike or somebody. And nobody really believed him. But other than that, nobody thought anybody but Travis had the contact. So they weren't interested in the other ones. And they probably just hit him with some kind of little brain thing. So you little redneck, stay right in your little truck there, or guess what's going to happen. So they just stay right there in their little truck. But anyway, let's get off that, because I want to get back to Dr. Scott. So whenever you want to tell us what happened to you, you can tell us that, Dr. Scott, by the way. And if you'd like us to call you something else, just tell us,
please,
because we get off on these crazy rants. It's so Pascagoula is an interesting case, because there was a lot that went on in this case.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, was there any one thing that made you say, okay, I really, really need to get down into this case. Maybe it can clarify something for me, or even seeking clarification. I always like to ask, because not everybody is. Some people are just wanting to do the research because something crazy happened to them.
Well, I've been in science my whole life, so your scientists are always people that debunk everything. But I had experience with UFO my whole life too, so I kept it quiet for a long time. But eventually, I started looking into the subject.
Yeah, it's just kind of the way it started. I mean, I got my start in this as a debunker, so.
Oh.
I debunked a lot of stuff, man, and I used to make some people mad. But the point of it is I have a bachelor's in science, and I am a science geek at heart, and I figure not everything we look at here can be explained away by science, because frankly we just don't have the science to do it. But there is science does apply to a lot of what goes on in sightings and in UFOs. One of the first things I learned aboard the USS Nimitz was advanced aircraft recognition. So when I'm standing somewhere and I see something in the sky, I got a pretty good idea of what it was, and if I can't identify it, you got to stop and think. And then on top of that, I keep airport monitors on my phone and on my pads. So anytime I want, I can check anywhere in the entire world, what's flying, where's it at, where it's moving, where it's going. I also have J-track, which means I can track the satellites. So we can quickly eliminate that, okay, it's not ours. We just looked at everything that could make it ours. The weather's not there. There's no problem with the weather. There's no weird electrical anomalies. It's just some weird stuff going through the sky, or what's going on. And now you've looked at both J-track and at your airport monitor, and there's nothing flying in the skies, but yet there's something in front of your face right there. You got something. You can stop back and go, yeah, okay, this is hardcore science here. We got you. But you still can't prove what the hell it is, but you can prove it's not ours. That's a big step in the right direction. I make a lot of science people crazy. When we worked out the blood type study thing, I probably sent some hematologists over the edge. I probably did. I did. So did you ever get to meet the Pascagoula boys? I always call them the brothers. They're not brothers, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. it's just an old habit I had of calling them the brothers from back in the day. It's but they're not actual brothers. I know there was a lot of emotion back in the 70s and 80s with them. I'd met them a couple times here and there, just different conventions and stuff like that. And there just seemed to be a lot of like twisted up, tangled emotions.
Well, they were so severely harassed. I mean, I've interviewed all these people from Pascagoula and other places that had experiences, and just about everybody said, oh, they were so harassed that nobody felt like saying anything for years.
That's what I heard. And they said the younger one had a harder time dealing with it than the older one did. And they got harassed. I mean, Pascagoula, I shouldn't say this because I only live like 30 minutes away. It's still a back-assward town even today. And don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, there is some of the most advanced technology in the world in that place. Oh yeah, they build nasty, mean Navy ships over there. So don't think there's not advanced technology. There's reason why someone might want to be looking at even an advanced race. Charlie, they just had, I don't know if it was a true contactee situation or if it was some weird luck of the draw because they just were in the wrong place at the right time. What do you think, Doc? I mean, were they just simply in the wrong place at the right time or the wrong place at the wrong time, or were they already known by the extraterrestrials or whatever they were? I don't even like calling them ET because I ain't sure.
Well, I just wrote this recent book.
Oh, there we go.
About it.
Oh, wow.
Like
with Pascagoula, the ultimate close encounter, best documented nuclear government and mind control dimensions. And it just came out. And I was saying that what you were saying, we didn't know that up until now. We just thought of Pascagoula as just some little southern town of, simple-minded people, you might call it, or something, which it isn't.
That's true. Well, it is and it isn't. It's both.
But I realized that this was a top nuclear site, a top submarine site, a place where at that time, they were making nuclear submarines with nuclear missiles in them. And it was a top site for gathering intelligence and everything else, plus the Huntington Ingalls was a top shipbuilder.
Yeah. And nobody, and even to this day, just to give y'all an example, ladies and gentlemen. So we're a long time ago, because my son's a full grown man now. I was out on my motorcycle one afternoon. Me and my son were riding. We were actually in Pascagoula, and I'm cruising. I'll come off an interstate, and there's a ramp that goes around. So I was going to take the ramp, go to the thing, and make the turnaround. Well, I forgot that the Navy base in Ingalls and all of these companies, these letter companies, we'll just call them, were out there. So I come off the ramp, and I'm cruising about 75 on a motorcycle. I look up, and there's 3 guys standing in the middle road with M16s, like bleep, bleep, and what it bleep. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So I'm stepping on the brake. I get all the way up, and the guys are, and the bike's kind of hopping in the back. So I'm stepping on the brake, and I stop. And I'm like, what the? He's like, dude, you can't come through here. I was like, I was going to make the U-turn until you jumped out with, like, you're going to shoot me and my little 4-year-old son on the back of my motorcycle. And he's like, well, you're going to, I said, dude, you got to let me turn around. What are you going to make me sit here in the middle of the interstate? I'm like, what the? And he's like, well, he said, well, why were you coming so fast? We thought you might have been carrying a bomb. And I almost peed myself and started laughing so hard. And he said, well, I'm going to run you. I said, go ahead. I said, my security clearance is high in yours, but go ahead and run me. And they said, made me pull on the side, turn off the bike. I'm sitting there. And he said, wait, somebody wants to see you. And I'm like, oh, blink. And this guy pulls up in a Jeep. He's a colonel. He said, Mr. Montano, what are you doing here? I said, actually, I was riding my motorcycle. I said, I live up the road. I was just making a U-turn. You're bleep, 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 and bleep, 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 bleep. And guys, bleep, 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 and stop me, because I can't say all that in this show. And he said, well, we apologize. He said, you have a class 10 security clearance. He said, I'm just curious to what are you here for? He said, I said, yeah, what does that mean? That means I would have access to your entire base if I wanted on base, doesn't it? And he just looked at me, and I said, again, I'm not here. I said, do you see any military? I said, here's my watch. I said, you see any military ID in here? No, you don't. So you see my driver's license. That's all you see. He said, well, he says, it's just such a coincidence. I said, well, what does it matter? You've cleared me. You know who I am. I said, why are we still having this conversation? Because he says, I just feel like there's something more here than what's going on. I'm like, well, you got my address. Here's my phone number. If you need to call me. And then he said, he went to say something smart. And I said, remember this, you never know who I know, right? And you heard him say the F word like 4 times and just walked off, got back in the Jeep and left. I was like, but I mean, come on. I wasn't doing anything. We're just cruising, just trying to make a U-turn. But they're serious down there in Pascagoula. They do not play. They take their base serious. And you can go sit. Matter of fact, you can go watch the sunset in Pascagoula. Some beautiful ocean front down there on the backside of the city. Right next to there is an Agus cruiser base. Well, not a base, but where they build them. Some are being decommissioned, some are being commissioned. And you can sit there. I mean, these are state-of-the-art things that murder ships like they're nothing, just sitting there. I mean, you're literally less than 75 yards from them. And there's nobody out there even bothering. Security don't even come drive through the parking lot, but you can bet your butt you're on camera the whole entire time you're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're watching you the whole time.
Your presence is known, felt, and observed.
Well, Linda and I were there one time, and I went live on Facebook. I went live on Facebook. And I got this real nasty thing from Facebook throwing us off. And then so I went live on TikTok. And TikTok let it run for a while, and then I got you're in breach of some blah blah this security thing, and bloop, my phone just turned off. It didn't come on until I was like 30 miles away from the base. It just turned off. I'm not sure it didn't turn everybody's phone off, because there seemed to be other people cussing at their phone besides me. What happens when you stick your nose where it don't belong? Mm-hmm. We had to pick up Doc Scott, take her out with us one time. She'll be like, these guys are nuts, man. We'll show you some ETs up close and personal. Yes. We'll let you meet Bob's original shape. That's Bob back there. But he keeps watching us. It's
old headless. So I mean,
so
actually not headless, he's bodiless.
Yeah, he is bodiless. So when you were talking to the Pascagoula people, I mean, did you meet other people that had seen weird stuff in Pascagoula or in the vicinity? Because I know Mississippi, the coast, well, let's be honest, basically from Destin, Florida, all the way over to frickin' probably Myrtle Beach or something is just ET riddled. I mean, Pensacola itself is constantly this stuff flying around there. And then we got Ed Walters Gulf Breeze sightings down there. It's just kind of crazy. But anyway, getting back to what I was asking you, did you get to talk to other witnesses? 'Cause I heard there was other people that saw stuff, but I could never really nail anybody down. At least not anybody that would get on the radio and say anything, I guess is what I'm saying. So did you get to talk to some?
Yeah, well, it turned abductions aren't accepted in ufology, and all kinds of other things are, but they don't accept abductions. And so usually they happen out in some out of the way place where nobody ever heard of them, and there'll be one person, no documentation at all, and lots of times the person doesn't remember anything. Well, this was a lot different because there were other witnesses. I mean, this was an abduction, and ufology throws away abductions. But even when it happened, we discovered that there were over 50 people that had called the police and reported something strange is flying around here. And they wouldn't have been influenced by anything because it was when this was happening, when the abduction was happening, well, other people were reporting it. And so there were about 50 people then. And since then, the government is kind of a little bit, tiny bit more open-minded than it used to be when it said UFOs don't exist, you're crazy. And so I've interviewed, I think, over 50 people that have had UFO sightings or experiences, and a fair number even that night that it happened, they saw something. So yes, it's not like a typical abduction because there were a whole lot of other witnesses. And we wrote another book recently with Philip Mantle, and I wrote Beyond Reasonable Doubt. And we're saying we had enough evidence to convince a court that something actually happened because of all the other witnesses.
That always helps. When I got into the field, like what you found, that abductions was very socially unacceptable in the field. Matter of fact, people made fun of it, and anybody associated with it, they didn't want to talk to. If a witness said they had like a close encounter up close like that, they wanted to say they were crazy or they were here, this, that, or the other thing. It was hard. I remember when I first decided to do abduction research, it was hard because a lot of people gave me trouble about it. Matter of fact, Paola Harris, but her real name's Paola Harris. She quit talking to me for 2 years because right in the middle of one of our conversations about who we were talking about, I started talking about alien abduction. She didn't want to talk to me. She said, "Joe, you can't talk about alien abductions in ufology. It hurts the field." Well, no, actually, people, abductions is what makes the field. Chasing lights in the sky, you'll never get to the truth. You chase lights in the sky till you fall on your face, you're not getting to the truth. Short of catching Mr. E.T. and dragging him into the White House, you're not getting to the truth.
Yeah, how are you going to capture technology that's millions of years in advance of ours?
You're only getting through the truth through either contact with ET or government contact who's had contact with ET. There is no other ways. That's why I always tell people when they ask me, "Do you believe in extraterrestrials?" I always say no, because we're not talking about God. We're talking about extraterrestrials. You've either seen the proof or you haven't. You've either seen enough evidence that you know it's real, or you just haven't. It doesn't seem to be any in between ground. But it was hard. I mean, it was really hard. So I know, like for you, starting back then, what year was Pascagoula?
1973.
Was it that young? God.
1973.
I was a freaking puppy, man, and I'm old, people.
Yeah, I was. Let's see, I was 7.
I was 11 years old. I was 11.
7.
So
I was 11 years old.
But I mean, it something that stuck in my head. And then as I got into the,
I'm sorry.
After I got out of the military and really started getting into the field, that was a case I had an interested in, and
Dr. Scott.
A lot of the other, Pascagoula was one of the only cases I didn't rewrite. A lot of the other cases I got involved with because there was such poor investigation. I rewrote a lot of them because, I mean, I came in first off with a bachelor's in science and advanced avionics and advanced electronics with aircraft recognition voice stress analysis, body language, and facial recognition. It was all part of what I did. So coming into a field for me, I was probably am the only really person that's qualified to look at UFOs and alien abductions, at least that has a degree in it. Everybody else has degrees in other stuff. So I've always said it should be treated with science. Don't get me wrong. There's always going to be stuff we don't understand. There's going to be stuff that are going to be on the fringes because we don't understand it. But it doesn't mean it's magic. And it doesn't mean it's demons. It just means we don't understand it. I don't know, but the fact that people were even talking to you in 73 was a cool thing, because I guess that was before the real time of let's not talk about UFOs. So, I mean, how many people said they had, let me ask you this, did anybody besides Parker and Hickson see the aliens themselves?
Yeah. The
now,
first.
we don't want to get. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I interviewed the people after 2017 or so. The other people had called the police and the other authorities back in 1973, but when I started interviewing people, it was recently in the last few years. But the first person I interviewed was called Maria Blair and her husband and Jerry, and they were across the river from where the abduction took place, and he was going out to in a supply boat to the oil rigs or whatever, and he was waiting for his boss to come so that they could both get in the boat and leave. And there was a pier, and Calvin had been on YouTube describing his abduction, and the daughter of these people had written into the YouTube thing and said that they know something happened because their parents watched it. And it turned out that they were on the other side of the river from when it happened, and they had seen some activity, and then later figured out that that was the abduction. And so they could kind of watch it, but they hadn't said anything to anybody because people didn't talk about it then. And so anyway, she said that what she saw was that there was this thing flying around over the Pascagoula River and over the area. And she thought it was an airplane, and she thought, this pilot doesn't know what he's doing. He's lost. He's just flying around. And she said that then her husband decided to go to the boat, ship, and put his clothes in it. And so it was about 9 o'clock, and they were walking down the pier, and she was behind him. And this thing flopped up that looked like a person right in front of her on the pier. And then it flopped back down. And it looked like a person, but it didn't come back up to breathe. And she was just really, really emotional about that. Then she went to the ship, and she didn't come back until about 12. And there were two light bulbs that went off in my head. One is she was really emotional about this thing that flopped up on the pier. And she didn't seem to be able to account for what they were doing on the ship for 2 or 3 hours. And so I kept in contact with her. And a couple years later, her husband became very sick and unfortunately died later. But he went on on a ventilator. And right before that, he told her that they had been abducted. And she didn't know anything about it until then. But this was her husband telling her that they had been abducted and that he hadn't told her about it. And so anyway, then Philip hired some people to hypnotize her sometime later because he died, and you didn't want to, get in on that.
Yeah.
Because, but sometime later he hired somebody, and she kind of remembered parts of it too, under hypnosis. And so they had reported this abduction that practically the same time as Calvin and Charles had been abducted. They had kind of watched it, and they had been abducted too, according to what they remembered. But they didn't know it. It took her years to know it. And I guess he apparently knew it, but he had been a skeptic all this time and said, well, he didn't believe in it. And then finally he said, yeah, we'd been abducted.
Well,
so there were two reported abductions, same time and same place.
Yeah, see it kind of works that way, but for some reason, a lot of people just didn't catch it in the early days. So researchers, I don't know, I don't want to hate on them because they had limited stuff to work with. When I got in the field, there was a little more tools and people had come a little bit more educated, but it was just hard to come up with good ideas back then because people wanted to just jump to wild conclusions and things that, when you start talking about alien abductions, they started getting into all kind of crazy things. And then they wanted to start looping them together like, what was his name? Valiant Thor. They wanted to throw that in the middle of it, which was in the 50s, which they said lived at the Pentagon, which has maybe not. I don't know. Because you only hear about it from certain places. But what happened was, like with the Buddy and Bonnie Hill case, Dr. Simons was really interested in the case, but he didn't have any foreknowledge of what he was getting himself into. And you know how it is. I mean, you've done the research yourself now, so if you're not ready for it, your brain is going to go into instant meltdown because it don't know if you think it's real or these people are crazy. So it becomes your brain's fighting with itself. Your own self is fighting with itself to decide where it is you want to stand on this. So when you're first doing that and you're listening to some guy telling you what's happened to him under hypnosis, and he's legit under hypnosis, and you're thinking, well, that can't be true, but it is. It makes it hard. It makes it hard. I read his notes. He said a lot of times he just wanted to quit because he felt like maybe this was some kind of government black ops project of some kind, because how could it be aliens and all these different ties to the government, because Barney knew 3 different colonels, which was odd to start off with. Had been invited to the White House. It was just a lot of stuff that was strange about that case. So, but the way it was handled improperly. There was 3 sets of memories. No one questioned where the extra set of memories came from. There was just a lot of things that was mishandled. And I noticed with a lot of cases, that's what happens. I know Philip, so he's a good investigator. I've talked to him many times over the years. And, but not everybody's a good investigator. Some people just,
he's excellent.
and he's a lot of fun to talk to him. But I know he's been being quiet lately. Somebody told me he's kind of semi-retired, but he's been doing this a long time. It's and I like the people when he recommends people. They're usually always good people. Oh, by the way, Michelle DeRoche told me to tell you hi. She's the one that posted all your information. You've been on her show, The Outer Realm. I think you and Phil were on together, actually. So it's probably a while back. Yeah, so it was probably a while back. But she just said, what's that, Jane? Well, the Pascagoula guys, you mean the way they looked? Is that what you're talking about, the way the alien looked? I don't know.
Well, I got something along that. The drawings they drew days, months, weeks, years later, what have you. A similar creature was captured in Falkville, and I don't remember when that incident occurred. I don't remember. I couldn't find that information yet. But let me get it up here.
What the hell, man? Don't be screaming. What's wrong with you? Hey, man, we gotta watch these shows. Not Halloween, people. It's Christmas time. Stop with that badness. I don't know. Somebody's screaming.
This is kind of some of the pictures of the Falkville man. And one is in comparison to a fire suit.
Let me blow this up. Oh, okay. Yeah, well,
it's a series of 4 pictures of this humanoid creature in a metallic suit. And it doesn't look very similar. It's kind of similar to the the protective fire suit that the guy's wearing, but these pictures were taken, I believe, by a police officer. And you see the picture over there with the police officer standing in the middle of the road. I believe that's the guy who took the pictures. So if you're a police officer, this is a career ender.
So,
So
so Dr. Scott, so the couple you were talking about that was abducted, did they give you a description of the aliens? Was it like the ones that Parker and Hickson saw, or was it something different?
I think they were taller, but I wasn't. I think the people that saw them were sort of very, very stressed.
Yeah,
and
I can imagine.
Their descriptions weren't like other people. I mean, like today you have the grays and they're short and skinny and have big eyes and stuff like that. Well, what they described was just the opposite. I mean, their beings were kind of chunky. They were not real tall, and I don't even think they remembered whether they had eyes or not. They didn't look anything like any of the other reports, and that made me think they were sincere, because if you're going to hoax, you would look up what aliens look like.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Their description was different.
Well, the very first time I heard this, I mean, like I said, I was 9 or 10, but the very first time I heard it, I distinctly remember to myself that I felt like, well, maybe it was some type of robots, because something about, I was listening to him on a radio show late one night, might have been Coast to Coast, and he was talking about it, Parker was, and I was like, I mean, Hickson was, and it just kind of sounded like it might have been some type of like Robbie the robot or something. I can't,
well, yeah. That was their impression, that these were robots. And I've looked through, I have in my book, I've looked through this recent book, a lot of abductions. And in a lot of cases that it wasn't apparent to start with, the beings seemed to be almost identical, just like they were manufactured robots or something. At that time in 73, I think everybody thought, these were beings and things. And
yeah, I do remember him saying people thought they were thinking they were aliens, and the whole time I was thinking, no, they're robots. But like I said, again, I was a kid. What did I know?
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, even so, back to 73, we didn't even have a robotics technology that was even near as what it is today. So, I mean, robots we had back then would not have been autonomous.
Yeah, they had the impression they were robots back then.
Yeah, alien robots. Yeah, it's
they could have. Well, I mean, I guess it could be, from a top secret special access program.
Yeah, because 70s, I mean, they built what was a robot for Lost in Space, and then they built a robot. Well, they built a robot for the one Forbidden Planet first.
Yeah, Forbidden Planet was the robot was called Robbie the robot, and it was operated by a midget that sat inside the chest, and he made it walk and talk and all that.
Well, what I'm
robot
saying
B9 was also operated by a midget sitting in the chest piece of it, but it only rolled on tractors and was modeled after Robbie. It was kind of similar looking, but distinct enough that you put them next to each other, that you can see that they're not even near the same.
But what I mean is, by the time we got to 73, we had RC, so that means that means we could have had a robot. It wouldn't have been autonomous in the fact that it was AI, but it would have been autonomous in the fact that you could be sitting in the craft, with your little joystick running it around, doing whatever. I mean, as far as humans go. But from the way that they described it, and they described the craft, and it distinctly sounded like this was an extraterrestrial race that, for whatever reason, didn't want to mess with these two rednecks without the robots. It's Jimmy,
was he armed? Was one of them armed?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember anybody saying anything about guns or anything. Now being rednecks in Mississippi, fishing on the rivers, it's possible they had a gun with them.
River at night, I would guarantee one of them had a gun, just in case something like a boar.
I don't. But I met both of them, and they both seemed to be pretty decent guys, pretty nice guys. I mean, they weren't crazy with their brains falling out. I mean, I do remember Calvin got a little bit wild there for a little while. I guess he got tired of the fame.
Well, the thing that strikes me about the two gentlemen is that after the incident, they went to the newspaper to try to make the report. There were no reporters there, so they kept on going towards the sheriff's office, made a report with the sheriff, And while the sheriff was interviewing them, he secretly turned on a recorder and walked away and left the two gentlemen to speak alone for some time in the interview room. And when they reviewed the tapes, they found that the two gentlemen continued to talk about what had just happened to them. And they're fairly certain that, I don't remember the sheriff's name, but after reviewing the tape, he was fairly convinced and certified that those two gentlemen were telling them an actual incident that happened to them.
Now, could it have been a containment unit from one of the top secret facilities down there? Maybe the boys got too close to something, got exposed to something. Maybe they came.
Well,
to
didn't the ship rain some sort of debris down upon them at some point before they were taken on board? I thought there was.
You gotta ask. Dr. Scott's the expert, not me. I'm just along for the ride, Doctor. What do you think?
What?
If I recall correctly, before the two gentlemen were taken aboard the craft in Pascagoula, did not the craft fly over them and rain down some sort of powder or dust or debris upon them?
Not that I remember of.
I don't think I remember that.
Maybe it dropped something in the river. I remember something in that story where they both men, at least the older gentleman, said something about the craft spewing something into either the river or down on top of them on the bank as it was coming near them.
No, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah.
They were fishing, and they heard a sound, and Calvin had a new car, and he had parked it, and he didn't want to go back through all these weeds and everything to the pier, but Charlie thought it was a good place to fish, so they went, and they saw this blue light, and Calvin thought it was the police, and he thought he was going to get in trouble and get in jail and get his car in trouble and everything else. And so he was saying to Charles, it's your fault. Don't put me in jail, and everything. And so then they saw this thing, and it opened up and light came out. And then these beings appeared and seemed to grab them, and they were both paralyzed, but I don't remember anything I didn't read anything about raining down anything.
It may be a detail that came out later on. And I know I saw a recent, it must have been on one of the Ancient Aliens shows. I do remember the.
Oh, well, that's probably fake information in, man.
It might be. Yeah, it might be. And it might be, a memory from another incident crossed over. But yeah, it was some time ago, in the last 20 some years ago, that I remember them saying that they saw something coming out of the craft before they were abducted. But yeah, it's not even it's not a major point for the thing. The fact is that throughout the UFO community, those two gentlemen are thought of as highly original, highly honorable, truthful speaking gentlemen. So I believe what they had is genuine paranormal, but I think only the older gentleman said that he had recurring incidences with the creatures, and then the younger boy, I forget, they were related somehow, like uncle, nephew, something like that.
They were family friends.
They were family friends. Okay. Well, then one of the articles says they were related somehow.
Yeah, they were there because they think everybody's related in Mississippi, but they're not.
Yeah, that's West Virginia, by the way.
Dr. Scott, at the time back in, was it 73? Did they think that the UFO came out of the river or around near water that abducted the two brothers or guy and the two guys?
There was, the Blair family that reported the abduction later, they were talking about that these beings seemed to be swimming in the water. But then what made the news at Pascagoula about a month later, on November the 6th, was that a sighting of a USO, underwater unidentified submarine object. And this is in the news quite a bit now, USOs, but they had that happen. And there were about 9 witnesses, and included 2 Coast Guard officers. And I interviewed the one surviving person, and he said that he and his father were out net fishing on the Pascagoula River, and they saw this object, and they didn't know what it was. And his father poked it with an oar, and it sounded metallic, and it was lit up, but it would turn its lights off. They bothered it, and then go someplace and light up again. And they couldn't figure out what it was. And they had some relatives also fishing, and they couldn't figure out what it was. So they went to the Coast Guard office and got the Coast Guard people. Well, the Coast Guard investigated too, and they couldn't figure out what it was either. One of the officers said that it was very strange light, because he said if they held an oar over the object and the light coming out, that the light just went right through the oar like an X-ray and things. And the Coast Guard did a real serious investigation. And this happened not very far away from where the abduction was. And it was taken real seriously and investigated seriously by the Coast Guard and the Navy and everything. So there was this.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering that. So back then, there had to be a lot of USOs underneath the water, correct?
Well, there was another observation. I think it was before that, where 2 people that were working on a ship saw a sort of a fleet of, I think there were 6 objects float up the river and then back down too. So there were other things there.
Well, it seems to me that with some of the recent stuff that came out from ATIP, that it seems to be where there happens to be a U.S. naval presence, particularly in an advanced weapon system like the Aegis system, which seems to be somewhere near Pascagoula. There's a USO base, a UFO underwater base. You got over out in San Diego, they were way back in the late 90s and early 2000s when the Navy was testing certain weaponry, sonic weaponry underwater. They were running out of that base in San Diego. And that's where those ATIP videos came from. They were flying over and outside the area of San Diego Ocean where they came across those Tic Tacs and gimbal videos. So it seems there's some parallel activity with both the UFO and U.S. Navy advanced weapon systems.
let me give you the dirty lowdown on it now. So Pascagoula is very interesting, but Pascagoula, by the way, the crow flies is about 30 minutes from Pensacola, where the Naval Air Station is.
Yeah, top gun.
And then it's only where the crow flies less than 45 minutes from Eglin Air Force Base, where all the non-nuclear weaponry in the United States is tested. One of the largest bases in our country, hidden, nestled in the middle of the swamp where you can't get to. They got runways back there that don't even have roads to them. There's 84 runways on the base, and like half of them, there's no roads to. There's no way to get to them. You land there, I guess there's an underground facility or some kind of underground tram or something.
Yeah,
you're not. There's no road going. It's very strange to see. It's where we get the picture of that saucer right there in the beach. But the reason I bring it up is because there's an underground. So through abduction cases, there's an underground facility in Pensacola. Well, actually in Gulf Breeze. Navarre is probably where it really is, and that's where Eglin is. So on a bunch of cases we've gone through, we found that quite a few abduction cases lead back to Navarre Beach, Gulf Breeze area. Vacation is coming in and missing days of their vacation, 5, 6, 7 days, where they've been taking people for no reason. All of a sudden decided to get up. Hey, baby, get the kids. Let's go to Gulf Breeze for a month or a week or 2 weeks and come back with no pictures, no nothing, and hadn't spent any money. Other than the hotel room. That's, stuff like that just don't happen. Florida's expensive, and you don't go there and you don't spend money. It's just not something that's going to happen. So there's a lot of cases down there, a lot of cases where people get up in the middle of the night, get in their car, drive down there, come home with all this mileage on their car and sand all in their car, don't remember any of it. So there's a lot of weird stuff, but the point is Pascagoula is basically a throne stop away from Pascagoula, and on an underwater UFO, it's probably less than 4 minutes. It might not even be that far with an underwater UFO. The way I've seen the ones moving Pensacola coming out from the back bay, Mobile ain't but 20 minutes away by boat. So it's got to be less than a minute away by UFO. So you're right there. I mean, it's basically, and it may, as far as we know, the whole base is tied together. We don't know. There's always been a rumor that the Pensacola Bay, the Pascagoula base connects to the Pensacola base, which connects to the Eglin base, which connects to the Mexico City base. And the Mexico City base is in the middle of a freaking forest. It's like takes 5 hours to drive across, and right smack in the middle of that forest, first sign you see, you've been driving for like 2 hours, you see a sign. Biological chemical testing for the U.S. Air Force, turn right. Then about another hour down the road, on the other side of the road, you see the same exact sign, but on the other side of the road. It's creepy. And sometimes you'll be on that road. We were back there one time. We had to have gotten them. We didn't see anybody for like 5 hours. Nobody. And it's a busy highway, and just nobody. You're just driving through the middle of one of the big funky swamps in Florida, just cruising along. I forgot the name of the base down there, and but there's NASA and Air Force and Navy have bases all up and down Florida, so it's all, as far as we know, it's all interconnected. They're probably connected from underneath. There's a lot of USOs that have seen that in Pensacola area, Gulf Breeze area, Destin area, Panama City area. Those seem to be hotspots. There's a place in St. Joe where the water comes out of this river. And there's a prison up the way from there. They said they've seen these weird orbs that come just when it's high tide. They see the orbs come. They're just big glowing orbs. They said about 15 feet around, just come shooting out through the water and zip out into the Gulf, and they're gone. It's right there between St. Joe and St. George Island. There's a lot of stuff happens in Florida. I mean, we've personally seen a lot of stuff down there. We've talked to a lot of people who've had the girl with the grays in her backyard. That's just so freaky. So she had a camera's out watching her kids, right? Just sitting out in the yard, nothing, random cameras, and she's got a white picket fence. And it's in the evening, and you notice something moving, and you see something else. There's grays peeking through the white picket fence. And you got to actually look to see them. That's the freaky part.
Do you have that video? Throw it out.
I don't have it on this computer. I know that. It's not stuff I keep on here. But it's still on the internet. You can say we posted the internet years ago. It's still out there. It's and she originally contacted us because she saw one standing in the middle of the yard talking to her oldest daughter, who I think was 7 at the time. And she just freaked out. And she said the dog seen it, jumped over the gate, hauled ass into the thing, knocked the daughter over, and then just stopped and stood there and didn't even growl at the alien. He said it just stood there like almost like it was frozen. Damn alien probably took it over. If I said, "Excuse me, what is this thing?" and then stopped whatever it was doing. But there's some good video out of there, and there's some other good stuff out there that, they've got those videos down there. They got the surfing alien things down there. They got all kind of weird stuff that's happened in that area. And like I said, Pascagoula's right there. And I'm only on interstate. I'm 30 minutes from Pascagoula, where I'm at right now. I live in the Gulf Coast. I live on the beach in past Christian, Mississippi. Yes, and this is another spot that has a lot of activity. Right where I live in a hot spot. They see stuff flying all over around here. Matter of fact, one of the best cases I ever got to work. My son had seen something weird, like a block from where I'm living right now, right out on the Gulf. But a couple of months after that, we were sitting out there, and my son said, "Oh, they're back." I'm like, "What the hell are you talking about, you little shit?" "Oh, my bug-eyed friends are back." I'm like, "Dude, stop." All of a sudden, you see this thing coming out the water. It's just lifting straight out the water, green, just water's running off, sparkling. It just kind of came up and floated. It was a cloudy, gray night. It just kind of floated over, got over the beach, kind of floated over, got over the highway, just kind of floated down the highway for a little ways, floated right over the top of 2 state troopers with the cameras on, and kept on floating, and then it was gone. Well, these guys contacted us, and they wouldn't let the video release until they retired. They retired a couple of years ago, so they released it, but it was crazy spooky. It went all over the place, went viral, and you can't find it for nothing now. Nothing. And when I talked to the oldest officer, I'm not going to mention his name, he said he was forced to sign a non-disclosure agreement and not to play the video ever again. So somebody scrubbed it off. I imagine if you looked hard enough, you could probably still find a copy of it floating out there. But they scrubbed it. It's not even the first time they've done something like that. They just
Why does the government do that, Joe and Dr. Irene? Why do the government always stop this from being out there? This is, to me, this is the 21st century. Okay, we're not dumb, you know. All kinds of stuff has been put out about UFOs. Why does the government still keep a tight lip on it?
Well, I think when it started back in 1947, not everybody had seen UFOs, and the government sort of classified the information and put it under the military as foreign, which they interpreted, you know, from other countries. And so it's been classified ever since. And it should have been classified as scientific to start with instead of military. And I think that would have gone a long ways, because I think it's been classified ever since. And they still, still today, they're saying, well, could these be from other countries? And so it's still under the military. But I think since back then, they've discovered that the universe is full of planets and things like that they didn't know back then. And it's kind of ridiculous to say, most people with common sense think, well, we're here and the universe is much older than us. There's probably lots of life every place else because we exist. And so, today it makes a lot less sense for the government to say, oh, we're the only, they always had a scientist get on TV and say, we're the only intelligent life in the universe. Well, that was a ridiculous thing to say.
Well, mainly because we're not intelligent, but still.
Yeah, that could be.
A friend of mine got real mad at me when he's a really religious friend of mine. I didn't mean to make you mad. He said something about God and creation and we're his creation. I said, you ever stop to think that we're maybe not been God's first or last creation? Oh, no. I said, well, dude, don't take this the wrong way. I said, but if we're the best he can do, we're in deep shit, my friend. And he was like, Joe, I said, no, let's just be honest about this. Have you looked around the planet lately? I sure the hell have. And he was like, but I'm like, no, ain't no buts to it. I said, I cannot see an omnipotent super being creating a mess like this and then leaving it like this. I said, no. I said, there's more to this stuff than that. Somebody's not telling us the truth here, man. I said, I think, just create and move on. It's going to figure it out somewhere. One day we'll meet the perfect human race. God will have created in the future 100 million years from now or something. Or it may be us. We may grow and stop trying to blow each other up and kill each other and rape, pillage, and do some more raping and pillaging and stealing and screaming and lying and cheating. No, I am not talking politics. Thank you very much. I'm just talking about how humans are.
Yeah, so the one thing we got to get above and beyond is the tribal warfare. That's the one commodity that we bring to the universe right now is just warfare.
So, Denise, to answer your question, which president has done the most for ufology? You won't like my answer, so I'm not going to tell you. What do you mean?
You weren't going to say Bill Clinton, were you?
No, because he'll get TDS if I tell him the truth. So originally, Trump was the guy who's the one who did the things for Congress to meet. It was in his first term that he started this. Obama wasn't interested in it. He just didn't have an interest in it. Clinton did, but nobody trusted his wife, so they wouldn't tell him.
I don't think they trusted him either.
No, maybe not, but they wouldn't tell him. And he tried. He even pulled big favors from billionaires to try to find out what was going on. But I remember when he talked to the guy from Pentagon, and Pentagon guy told him, "You don't need to know." He said, "I'm the president of the United States." He said, "You're only here for 2 terms, and that's it. I'm here for 50 years. You don't need to know." And what are you going to tell him? You going to fire him? Okay, but you still ain't going to get to find out.
There's that famous speech where Clinton is answering a letter from a kid in the audience, where the kid asked him about Area 51. He says, "I'd really like to know, and they won't tell me either."
Well, according to what Ronald Reagan was the first president to be told since before World War II, and he was only
Nixon was the one prior to him, was the last one who had a full read in.
No.
Carter was not read in.
No, Carter wasn't. But so what happened was Ronald Reagan. Well, Ronald Reagan was after Carter anyway. Ronald Reagan was brief, but not in his first term. He was alluded to in his first term. According to him in his memoirs, he was alluded to that extraterrestrials were real, but they didn't tell first term presidents. His words. And then second term, he found out. But don't forget, George W. Bush was in charge of the CIA before he became vice president. He knew. So he told Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan got it then, started making speeches. Hey, look, it's going to take an alien invasion for us to unite. And he started talking about it. He said 7 different speeches.
Alien force.
Yeah. He brought this up in 7 different speeches. On top of that, he instituted Star Wars, which were lasers way too big to shoot down missiles. Then he instituted Pine Gap, the Joint British Defense of Outer Space. People, outer space means beyond our solar system. So what the hell was that? And then he instituted the HARP facility, where they're punching holes through the ionosphere with these giant lasers. He knew something, and he was worried about something. Okay, and then here comes Carter. I mean, not Carter. Here comes Clinton. Nobody tells Clinton anything. Clinton wants to know. He's out on TV talking about, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know. He's almost like a baby stomping his foot. I want to know. And I think Clinton should have been told, no, screw you, Clinton. We're not telling you. Okay.
Yeah. Here's the blabbermouth anyway.
Here comes George W. Here comes Baby Bush. Baby Bush finds out because his daddy is Daddy Bush, and Daddy Bush knows. But even in that, and the fact that they were looking for something in the Middle East that we still don't know what the bleep it was. Mm-hmm. We can blame this war and whatever we want to blame it on, but in the end, Daddy was over there after something, and he made a boo-boo and blew up a bunch of what's his name's kids and had to quit fighting. So his son went back to find whatever it is he was looking for. Some people say it's a Stargate. Some people say it's the Ark of the Covenant. People say it's all kind of crap. Regardless, they all believe it was something extraterrestrial, and it still hasn't been found. But they know it existed because it had been categorized by the Great Alexandria Museum. So at one time they had it, but it had been given out to somebody else. What it is, I don't know. But apparently we were over there looking for it because we didn't really do anything with Iraq or Afghanistan. I mean, we just blew the living shit out of everything and then left. And said, okay, well, whatever it is here, we're not looking. Because think about this. In the Bush's first term, in Desert Storm, they raided every museum there was and broke into every vault, but yet left the artwork.
They left the expensive stuff. And the same thing happened again when ISIS had their rampage. They went back through and destroyed those same exact places we went to. I mean, they destroyed the artwork and everything that was left behind.
Well, there's something that nobody has whatever this is, and they want it. So we've been over there twice. Now here we go. And like I said, the only reason Baby Bush found out was because it was Daddy, because they wouldn't have told him otherwise. And then here comes Barack insane Obama. Okay, Barack's okay. He's a good guy, but they're not going to tell him. One, he didn't have any political experience, so he was a junior senator. They're like,
not even that.
He was a junior senator. I think he was a junior senator.
He was a rookie senator.
He was a junior. He was like 3 years, I think. Actually, I always thought it was like 6 months, but I think last time I checked, it was like almost 3 years. But regardless, he hadn't really made many votes or anything.
No, he never went. He never went to and sat in Congress once.
But in all fairness to Barack, he wasn't interested. He was asked about it a few times. I mean, now it's on the political thing now. Ufology comes up in politics now. He was asked. He just wasn't really interested. Trump came in. Trump was asked on a political thing. He said, well, Trump said, I would like to know if aliens are real. He said, and then what did he do? The first thing he did was do what? Form Space Command. Why? So he could run roughshod on everybody. Because before, Army's doing this, Navy's doing this, DARPA's doing this, NASA's doing that. Screw that. Somebody needs to be babysitting these guys. So now everybody answers to Space Command. So they can do whatever they want, but they have to inform Space Command about what they're doing. Because the Space Command is now in charge of the Space Force, which I didn't realize that we had a Space Force.
Yeah, and I don't think Trump actually started the Space Force. I think he just brought it to public awareness.
No, he's the guy who started it. He created it. He started it. It was his.
I believe the department actually had started way before, because there's rumors of the Space Force before Trump is even
he's the one. He's the one that officially made a Space Force. He created the agency himself. It was an agency.
That credit does go to him. But I think there's
Space Force. No, that's what they were saying, Jay. They didn't have one. The Navy did what the Navy wanted to do. The Air Force did what the Air Force wanted to do. We know DARPA did. DARPA was flying shit all over the place. We know that. But not since Trump, not since Space Command. Now they answer to Space Command. They didn't have to answer to them before. Now they do. So, but
Donald Trump is the one that started it.
Yeah, he started it. And I met the number 1 and number 2 generals over there, John Goodman.
Hey, Joe, we are about halfway through the show. Do you want to give away one of the sets of books right here? Then we'll do the other towards the end.
I'm going to have to get Dr. Scott to send me one of her books so I can give it away. But you know what? What do we got? Hold on. Let's give away the book very quick. Dr. Scott, while I'm looking at these books, why don't you tell them, you got a couple of books out, don't you? Why don't you tell the audience about your different books?
Okay. Let me see. My first one is, let's see. My first one is UFOs Today, and it's a general book about UFOs. And my second one is Sacred Corridors. And this is about Wright-Patterson and Ohio's involvement in UFOs. And I had been in the security area of Wright-Patterson, including what they call the Blue Room, although I didn't know at the time. And I had somebody that gave me information, Jenny Zeidman, who knew Dr. Hynek real well, and I had a lot of his handwritten letters, and I had been in the security area of Wright-Patterson, so I wrote a lot about that, and I'd taken pictures of the inside area of Wright-Patterson, and they always say there's these, all the stories is that there's bodies and UFOs and things like that buried in Wright-Patterson in vaults and things. And I showed some evidence that there's vaults such as digging and stuff that I took pictures of, and went over the literature and that sort of thing. And so I had a lot of photography and everything else in the book. I talked to the I actually went to a secret meeting about UFOs and described that in the book, and described in detail the study that Battelle Memorial Institute did of UFOs, Spatial Report number 14, where the government was saying that UFOs don't exist, and they were doing a secret study of UFOs at Battelle. And I worked at Battelle and knew some of the people that were involved. I also wrote this, which is, that's about my own experiences. And my sister and I had.
We'll have to bring her on just to talk about that on the other show, just about our own experiences.
What?
I was saying we'll have to bring you on the other show to talk about your experiences. We got right now on UFO Undercover, we're doing contact experiences. Usually once a year, we'll do like 10 or 20 shows with different contactees that have had experiences, and we'll let them come on and just talk about what's happened to them. It's a nice, safe environment. Nobody's allowed to pick on anybody or anything, so. and it's a pretty decent sized listener audience. But that show's old. Like I said, that show's like 30 years old. So it's been around for a while, but it's I work for ICAR, the International Community for Alien Research. It's 2025, so it's 27 years old. They got a lot of data, girl. When I tell you they got a lot of data, they got a lot of data. Matter of fact, we're in the middle of we're going to restructure the entire organization, and a friend of mine asked me about changing the name of it just to modernize, and I'm like, why?
No,
It
you
just
couldn't
makes it
do that.
confused. Oh no, we might.
Mhm.
I mean, it'll go for a vote, and if the board overrules me, the board overrules me. I mean, I got a lot of power. I can do a lot of what I want, but still, I got people. Just like with
But
Michelle. I mean, I can do whatever I want to do on the network, but Michelle still has a lot to say with what goes on. So it's keep me in check this way because I'm crazy and I can get out of control. It's
no shit. Sorry, Dr. Scott.
but look, when I rewrote, I'll have to get one. All these authors I know, and I still haven't had anything written. Shame on me. But when I rewrote the Betty and Barney Hill case, I remember all the trouble I caught. I mean, people were hating on me nonstop. Even one of my favorite directors, DeAndre, God rest her soul, she's a great friend of mine. She said, "Joe, have you lost your mind? You just can't go around rewriting cases." I'm like, I'm just going by the evidence.
And if you come across new evidence or you see the evidence in the correct way.
So I sat her down and did the evidence, and she was like, I said, well, you know what? I'm going to be talking about it with George Noy on Coast to Coast tonight. And she's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She said, and she was my national director at the time. I said, are you going to give me stuff about this? And I said, because if you are, I won't do it. She said, no, go ahead. So I get on, and I tell George Noy about it. George Noy goes, Mr. Joe, you're never going to change my mind about Betty and Barney Hill. And I said, okay, being the little young smart ass that I was like, well, can I talk now? He's like, well, sure, go ahead. So I go on this 25-minute rant, 30-minute rant. And just before break, I stop and he goes, wow, I think you might have changed my mind. We'll have to talk about this when we come back from the break. And we come back, he's like, he said, man, you do real research. I said, of course. I mean, research is research. I mean, anybody can go around saying anything they want. I like to be able to prove things. I like to be able to show people, look, there's a this, that, and that reason for what's going on.
And the funny thing about that whole case is I saw the same clues you saw, but I didn't put them together. Especially like that one interview, like I think it was mid-70s, where she talks about the man pulled the screen down where she got the map for the star map, and then I was young then, and I didn't think about it. And then years later, you said, why would an advanced alien space race have a rolled up map?
Yeah, that was the whole point.
Ding! I mean, the lights went off.
When you listen to what went on in the craft and what happened before the craft, you realize that this was not extraterrestrials. This was probably some government group. I don't know if the CDC existed back then, but I mean, she describes people in white suits and they're doing blood samples with needles and they're taking skin samples and urine samples and other fluid samples. They had to walk upstairs to get into the UFO.
They gave her an amniocentesis.
I mean, and the funny part is her husband never remembers them doing anything to her, just to him. Even in the Simon's tapes, that's what he remembers. He don't remember them doing anything to her. And he's the one with the horrific screaming mares. I mean, when you listen to the tape, he's the one who starts off screaming like a maniac, not her. And it's not, and he's the one that knew all the colonels, and he was the one who had been seeing a psychologist at a very young age. So he was definitely the contactee. And the fact that they couldn't remember the name of their hotel or the place they had breakfast at that morning when they checked out, which was across the street from the hotel, was a classic alien abduction 101. But when they asked for directions later in the day, and she described him as a short, fat, white Irish guy, and Barney described him as a tall, thin, black cop. I mean, Jesus. They don't even sound like they were in the same car.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's classic alien abduction 101. So the alien abduction happened. It just happened in Canada. The military abduction, because they had been tracking them, happened in the United States in U.S. territory where they needed to do it. Taking people out of Canadian territory could have, maybe something might have went bad, could have caused trouble. So they took them once they got back in the U.S. But they've been watching Barney for a long time. I mean, this is a black man who was married to a white woman who was a post office worker who had
civil rights
friends
activist.
and he had friends in higher positions in the government, higher positions in the military. He was invited to the White House. This was just unheard of things for the mid 60s. So there was a lot that went on here that just doesn't meet the eye. But hey, so I just classified it. I never said that Barney and Medda Hill wasn't abducted. I just said the original abduction that about this case happened in Canada, and the abduction in the United States was a military abduction. And most people who've heard the argument agrees with me. Kathleen Waldron lost her mind because she had just wrote a book, and the book had took some ad libs, we'll say, with some stuff like she changed the pull down map to a digital map. She basically brought it up to current, but then she tried to use her dress, which nobody had, the dress is 40 years old at the time or 50 years old. Can't be used as evidence. It's been exposed to too much stuff. And then they did the map thing, but Betty herself said she didn't know the point of origin. So how can you do the map without the port of origin? You can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. And let me tell you what, I can find just about any arrangement in the star skies more than once, though. If you look hard enough, you can find it. So there were just a lot of things that I thought
there is some computer evidence that does back up Betty a little bit. In the 80s, there was a mathematician, and I think it was a female mathematician, and I do believe a scholar.
I know who it is. I actually interviewed her. No, I know who it is. Yeah, I interviewed her. But the problem is, and I asked her this, I said, how did you get to a point without a start point and an ending point? And she said, well, we're just extrapolating from the stars in the skies. So in other words, she was guessing where the start and end point was. Finding a triangle of stars in the sky is easy, Jeremy. You can look up and find dozens of them.
Oh, yeah.
Or a triangle with a pit. You can find those. But you needed to know where you stopped and started at. And the aliens never told her. They knew the Earth was the drop-off point, but they didn't know where the other point was. So anyway, getting back to Pascagoula, we got all sidetracked here. Scott, Dr. Scott, you got to just learn to say, "Shut up, guys! You're here to talk to me now." Just we get sidetracked sometimes.
And Joe's right, Dr. Scott. Just tell us to shut up.
Yeah, we've been around forever now. I mean, between the three of us, we're like 200 years old, so that's just scary. It's I was back before they even ignited the sun. I was walking around. It's what's that, Gene? The Pascagoula struck a nerve for some reason with people. I don't know why it did, and I know Calvin Parker and Charles Hickson caught a lot of shit because it was on the news a lot, and there was a lot of stuff about them being challenged and hated on. Pascagoula is not exactly the best place to be reporting a UFO to start off with, and then saying that you had contact. I mean, oh my God, it was nonstop, and they were getting interviews and all, but they didn't have any agents or anything, so they weren't really making any money where they could have been. It was just they were taking advantage of it in a lot of ways.
Is that part of the Bible Belt, Joe?
Oh, Pascagoula, yeah, Pascagoula, Mississippi is as far south as you can go in the United States without going to Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's in the water.
Back,
I mean, Heidi.
Did you run into a lot of problems, Dr. Scott, when you were doing your interviews about where a lot of people were talking about how this cannot be because of the Bible?
No, I didn't. Nobody even mentioned that. The problem is that I think Mississippi is, somebody said it was among the most poor states in the Union.
It was back then.
Made people look down on them. Besides they were saying they were abducted. And so I was trying to say that there were a whole lot of other witnesses, and they always say that, some people say that UFOs seem to be attracted to nuclear sites. Well, nobody realized this was a nuclear site until now, until I published the book. And I was saying, that this is maybe a reason why there's, which you were talking about, which is It was a nuclear site. It was a missile site. It was a nuclear missile submarine site and everything else, which nobody ever realized. I mean, there's a lot of intelligence down there, and it's been presented as, country hicks. And this was a very highly technical place with the Huntington Ingalls Industries, which makes submarines with nuclear missiles and things. And like I've read that most of the United States nuclear weapons are actually in submarines now. And that there's an Air Force base there, and the TikTok object was identified by a ship from Pascagoula. And it's a very highly technical place. And it's been misrepresented ever since it started.
Well, Pascagoula, it is. It's when you pull up to that gate and you see the list of companies that are in there, you're like, what the hell? You think you're in the, you know what? The only other place I've ever seen that was at the Pentagon when I accidentally tried to drive into the Pentagon. It's that was an experience, by the way, people. We were in DC and somehow I don't know. It said I exited. It said Pentagon. I just figured the Pentagon was there. I didn't realize the actual exits into the Pentagon. I was like, well, this was not real smart, people. Oh man, they did not think it was funny out there. But they knew we were tourists. They didn't even get any trouble. He said, "There's a U-turn right there, sir." I said, "Where are you from?" I said, "New Orleans." He said, "Okay, well, when it says Pentagon, don't get off anymore." I said, "Yes, sir, I sure won't. Bye. I'm out of here." We's a bunch of crazy people, but
you got to be careful when you're driving through DC on the Virginia side. You can do the same thing with the CIA headquarters, and they got the kind of entrance where if you go too far, you have 4 flat tires.
Yeah, well, down here it's weird because you have NASA right next. So right where I'm sitting right now, NASA is about 20 miles to the right of me. It's a NASA Stennis facility. It's another big facility. It also has an oceanographic society built into it. It's a big base. It incorporated 5 cities when it took it over. It just took over 5 cities, just took them over. The place is massive. So it's right there. And they do all kind of testing of all kinds of stuff. So all the rocket engines are tested, by the way. So then you come across there, and then there's the Seabees base, and then there's Eglin Air Force Base. Then there's Pascagoula. And then there's the Mobile base. Then there's Pensacola.
Yeah, they're very strong. And
then
is it
there's
all Navy, or is it Navy and Air Force?
Navy and Air Force. Then there's Whiting Field, and then there's another NASA facility. So just in less than about 120 miles of coast, there are literally 7 or 8 bases and 2 NASA facilities, and they're all big facilities. They all have lots of equipment on. It's somebody asked me when they do I feel safely on the coast. Hell yeah, these people everywhere. I watch them when they do war games over the Gulf. It's intense, man. It's nothing getting close to us without getting shot at, that's for sure. But the point is you have all this stuff, and it all seems to be, it may not have been interconnected in the beginning, but after I've been watching what Elon Musk has been doing with his boring machines, I bet you it's interconnected now. I bet you can take a tram all the way from the Tampa thing all the way back, all the way probably into Houston.
Oh yeah, I would not be surprised.
Well, I've told y'all about the time we ran into the Black Triangle on the Tampa Island, and they took us through the underground thing, and we didn't even know where we were. We just thought we saw some underground thing on the island, and then when we came out the front door, we was in the middle of Tampa. So that tells you right there where that led to. So there's no telling what's underground with all these machines now. Yeah, because I really got into checking out this boring when Elon, because I knew what he's going to be doing on Mars. I really got into looking at this, and there's a lot of these companies. They do a lot of underground stuff that we have no idea. And the reason they redid these machines is because now they don't leave a bunch of rubble behind for you to see that somebody's been, piling up and digging.
Yeah, so, no, the new tunnel boring machine is not like the old ones that had like you see in the Total Recall movie that has these big things that just break the rock up. No, what they have now is it's got a plasma torch in front that heats the rock to almost a liquid state, and then it has smaller teeth that break that up, and then it just turns it into gravel.
I think Elon's driving a UFO underground, burning that crap out of there, and using his little laser cannons. It's Jackie, look, we went through this the other night. We didn't even get finished, but every company Elon owns is for his exploration of Mars and the moon. Elon will in less than 5 years.
Not
Elon
exploration, takeover. His
I will say
corporate takeover of the planet Mars is what he's doing right now.
He's going to get to Mars and he's going to set up a colony. He's going to call it Marsville, and y'all are not going to be allowed to go to Mars.
Yes.
You stinking humans can stay on Earth. Yeah, you smelly, stanky humans. No, he's Rh negative, isn't he? Yeah, he's one of those aliens. Oh, Dr. Scott might be one of the aliens. We better watch out, man. Dr. Scott. Look at it. Watch it, man. We gotta watch it. It's what's that, Gene? Now, Pascagoula, I was serious when I said that earlier. Pascagoula was one of those cases that struck a nerve. Like I said, I was like 9 or 10 at the time, but I remember people were pissed about the case. And it never really made sense to me that, first off, somebody we knew, a person was taken by something which sounded like a robot and things done and put back, and they were angry at them and not the alien. I was really effing confused as a kid. I was like, what? Something seems a bit screwy here. And then also, that was one of the first times I remember the military reacting to a UFO thing, because they scrambled the entire Gulf Coast. So whatever it was made them nervous, I guess, because of where it was. Literally, from where they were fishing at, they were directly upstream. So the Pascagoula River empties in between the two facilities down there. And I'm telling you, the one facility, you can't see anything. If there's a ship there, it's inside of a hangar somewhere. You can't see them. The other ships that are being decommissioned, they let you look at those, but you're not seeing anything else. And then when you look them up, the companies are just insane. Not just that, there's a couple of places like Whiting's Field. That's another one that's got all these companies there that you got to wonder what the hell they're doing. And then there's a place in New Orleans East, right behind NASA, where they got all these deep, dark security type companies. And you're thinking, what are they doing here with NASA? Because where that facility was, they were the ones that used to build the fuel tank for the shuttle. I don't know what they do now. It's a Martin Marietta NASA facility. Store black triangles, probably.
Yeah.
It's they've been seen flying at it. That's why I said that, but I don't know. And then with Pascagoula's in between them all. Yeah, so it'd probably be a good landing spot, takeover spot, sit down spot. And there's a reason why so many top secret facilities are in the deep south. So the Pentagon had done this study. They do it about every 20 years. But it always says the same thing. Southern people are 100 times less likely to sell out to a foreign agent than someone from the North or someone who is a Democrat. How you like that? I was floored because at the time I was actually a Democrat.
From the North is the most trustworthy half. Think about that.
Well, it's funny. Well, I was when that original study came out, I was a Democrat. I was like, no way, man. They ain't going to sell out the country. But unfortunately, that's what they believe. And it's panned out to be true. They were showing the different day. The other day they did the top 50 people who sold out stuff to different countries. Almost everyone who sold tech to China was a liberal. And none of them were conservatives. A couple of them were libertarians. It was a strange thing. It's just a weird. It's just something weird. It's a different understanding, I guess, of life itself. Everybody has their ups and downs. What is that, Carly? No. What do you mean? Southern is perfect. What the hell are you talking about? Have you ever been in the South? No, perfect is not how I would describe it. I would describe it as far as Americans are as loyal as dogs, but as far as perfect, nah. Nah, man. Nah, there ain't none of that shit going on down here. There ain't nobody perfect in the South. No, I'm from New Orleans. That's where I'm from. Yeah. But I live on the coast because I like it up here and it's pretty. And there's lots of UFOs.
New Orleans isn't on the coast? Isn't New Orleans on the Gulf Coast also?
New Orleans is an island.
But it's also on the coast of the Gulf, right there by
No, it's close to the coast. So New Orleans from where I'm living right now is 55 miles. But if you want to go straight out to the Gulf from it, and you went out through St. Bernard Parish, it would be about 30 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, with nothing but flat land in between it and the Gulf. Yeah, swampland. Well, it's not actually swamp; it's marsh. Actually, is what it is. Yeah, but there's a lot of UFOs all along the coast. There has been, and just recently, this is what got me thinking about Dr. Scott a couple of weeks ago. There was just recently a UFO sighting in Pascagoula over the Pascagoula, the Lockheed facility in Pascagoula. They said it hovered there for 25 minutes. It hovered there long enough.
The Lockheed, what are they doing down there at Lockheed then?
Well, what the funny was, because when the report came out, they said initially they were going to scramble either a helicopter or an F-22. But then when I got the report back, and the thing that it was said it was scrubbed from someone above, said no. The problem is these days with these damn sophisticated drones we got, you don't know if it's a freaking drone or if it's an alien. I mean, unless we're talking about high-speed maneuvers, which drones can't do, but all that hovering and flipping and flying sideways, they can do all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can make them look like anything you want. We already know that. So I'm not even sure. They don't make any noise.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, you got to hear. There are the propellers that make a high-pitched whirring.
Oh, you can get them kind of put the little cups underneath and it pushes the wind up so you can't hear it. It's I've seen those. Those are and such a cheesy way of doing it. No special silencers, no nothing, just a little cup bent up and it pushes the sound up and away from your ears. It's just cool as hell. No, Dr. Scott is an alien. We know now. As long as she goes and probes Jay, I'm okay. Look,
I will turn into a reptilian if you want me to.
I'd say now I'm scared, man. No.
Dr. Scott, what is your favorite alien out of all of them?
What's your favorite? What favorite alien? What are we talking about?
What's your favorite?
This.
I think they're shapeshifters, so I can't answer that.
Okay.
It's interesting to say that because when I first got in this field, I said they have to be shapeshifters. There's no other explanation. So the light beings, I have no doubt, are shapeshifters. But when I got into the rest of them, I realized it's not quite what I thought it was. So when we started doing abduction research, we noticed something. We'd get a group of contactees, like a mass abduction of 20, 25 people. And we'd get a group. So I'd ask them, describe the gray to me, right? They're looking at the same damn gray. Oh, no, they're not. Because everybody's giving me a different description. Hell, a couple of them even said, oh, it was wearing clothes. Really? Well, everybody else said it wasn't. So, I mean, first of all, eyewitnesses aren't the greatest thing in the world, but I learned something about the grays. Not just the grays, reptilians and humans can do it too. They have the ability to scan your brain and let you see what you think you should see. So as far as you're concerned, it's real. It's like being in the Matrix. It tricks your brain. You think it's real. You're not going to react any other way, but that it's real. We've done enough research now. We know that's how it works, but it's interesting because it was things I couldn't understand. All the races couldn't be shapeshifters. I just couldn't buy that. There was just no way. Now, a light being, yeah, they're pure matter. That would make sense that they could shift and shape into anything they wanted to. We know they can travel through space without ships. We know they can create through thought. So it would make sense that they could do it. But the reptilians, big, bulky, fat-ass race that they are, a shapeshifting, I was thinking, man, that could be a little painful, shapeshifting is something about your size. I just got to be like, I don't know, it'd be kind of rough. So I got to thinking about it. I said, there's got to be another explanation. So I met these people who said they had been having sex with these beautiful, gorgeous aliens. Beautiful, blonde, tall, stunningly gorgeous. And I'm thinking, you're so full of shit. Excuse my language. That's what I'm thinking. So after a while, I kept hearing these cases. So I said, you know what? I'm going to put some people under and find out if they're telling me the truth or not. Well, under hypnosis, they were telling the truth, but it turned out they weren't talking about humans. They were talking about reptilians. So how do you mistake a big monstrous 7 foot tall, 650 pound reptilian with a 6 or 7 foot tall, blonde haired, white skinned human? I mean, that's a big damn difference.
That image in your mind.
That's what it was. And it was worse than that because when we would ask them about touching them, when they didn't know what they were doing, they would always come back and say it felt like almost like warm suede. It was really soft and warm.
Oh my God! We in a porn show or what?
What are you porn showing, man? Get out of here, man. You look, we got to get you a girlfriend. You thinking that's porn, man.
Oh man, it sounds like
send him a link, man. Send him a link, man.
Help
Come
me
on.
out.
But anyway,
Help me out. Tell him to shut up.
Anyway, it's so that's how they would describe it. And then so you would ask them just to follow them all the way down the hand, and they would, run up the fingers, and they would say, well, it's kind of like a sharp, almost point, like their nails are too sharp. And you get them to open their eyes, and they would look in their face. And of course, when they looked,
horror.
Yeah, it was a lizard man, like the guy up there in my screen,
or a lizard woman,
or a lizard woman, because it did work both ways. Now we've got about 300 of these cases altogether. And so we started realizing that because they're so telepathic that and the humans, I don't even think they mess with humans that aren't telepathic, but regardless, the people they're abducting are. So it's easy for them to just put stuff in your head and let you just run with it. And that's what we do as humans. We tend to take something that we think should be the way something is, and we just run with it. So part of it's them and part of it's us. But none of it's actually real in the way we think it's real. There's still the reptilian we were looking at 5 minutes ago. It's our brain just registering something different. And the Greys are famous for this, with their 3 turn into 3 to create 9 shit. Greys are almost always seen in 3s. Whether it's the short ones, the medium-sized ones, the tall ones, with the exception of Queen, they're almost always seen in 3s.
All right. Well, so here's a strange question for you, Joe. We've talked about the Trinity, the trilogy of God, Spirit, and Jesus. So, and we talked about the alien Greys not having been here as long as the Anunnaki. So, where did the concept of the Trinity come from? Is it from the Greys traveling in 3s?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we're a baby. We think of it this way. We just found a planet out there that's 5 billion years older than us that can sustain life. It's in a star that can live 80 billion years. Now, there's other stars, there's other planets in there that could have been having life for the last 20 billion years. So not only is it possible that there's life out there, but it's so far more advanced than us that it really can't look at us more than like we're like ants. So let me ask you this, Dr. Scott, if the ant was in your garden, would you leave it alone or would you kill it?
I would make friends with it.
Oh, listen, I don't believe you.
Good girl.
If it was eating my carrots, it'd have to go. I'm just saying. If it's in there eating my carrots and my onions, it's got to go. Or them stupid tobacco bugs that love to eat my tomatoes, they got to go too. You know what I do with them? I pull them off the plant because they're about this big and they're all pretty and green. And I take them and I got to buy you. I got to buy you in my backyard. If you go out there and hold them by the tail and do like that, the fish will jump out the water to get them. They love them big fat tobacco worms, man. Eating my tomato plants. Shame on them. I like my tomatoes.
Who's worse, you or Joe or Doomsday J. Ross?
What do you mean? I believe in the world. I'm a peace-loving lighter, man. That's all I think of is peace-loving light. That's why I'm going to Mars with Elon. Y'all can go do whatever, man. I'm out of here. I'm checking out.
I also believe in
Dr. Scott,
eating my tomatoes as bait for a fish.
Dr. Scott, would you go to Mars if you had the opportunity?
Yeah.
Yeah, because she's an explorer and a researcher. I've applied a couple of different places. I'd go to Mars. They'd let me. They'd say, look, get on a ship, Joe, I'm out of here. See, one of the good things for us everyday people is, ladies and gentlemen, is we're going to all get to go to Mars. Because everybody's like, well, only the rich people or only the scientists are going to go. No.
Elon Musk is going to make space travel so cheap, it's going to be cheaper than space
it's not even that.
air travel.
You're not getting a Harvard graduate to go clean the toilets. It ain't going to happen. You're not going to get him go out there and fix the pipes. You're not going to get him out there and work in fuel tanks because that's labor work, and they're not going to expect your scientists to get out there and do it. Maybe like the first month, but after that, they're going to expect to have people out there that's their jobs, keeping up the plants, taking care of the food, and cleaning the kitchen, cooking the food. You know that you're going to have that they have a real colony. And not everybody's going to have a PhD to go to Mars, or even a bachelor's for that reason. You're just going to have experience in some field, because we're going to all be learning weightlessness together as a group.
Yeah, they'll definitely need skilled labor. The electricians,
with Dr. Scott, we'll have to tie a weight on her ankle, keep her down on the surface while we're walking around. What's it, Jim? No, Mars is 1/6 gravity. No, Mars is 1/3 gravity. Moon is 1/6. Yeah, I always get them confused for some reason.
Yeah.
Moon virtually doesn't
if
have
you have
gravity.
100-pound weight, it weighs 60 pounds. On Mars, it weighs 70.
Which means Dr. Scott will weigh about 22. What's that, Frank? Even my big self would only weigh 100 pounds on Mars. Well, no, it's cool. I mean, most people don't realize this. So let's say you're 60, 70 years old. You know, you want to go to Mars. So you go to Mars, you get on Mars. First thing that you're going to notice is you can breathe easier. You'll be able to get off of your high blood pressure medicine and all kind of other medicines, because you no longer have the gravity of Earth crushing your heart anymore, or pulling down.
You're not working as hard.
You'll actually de-age almost 20 years your skin, because instead of being dragged down and forced to wrinkle because it's fighting back, it'll be able to stick there again, because there won't be any gravity pulling down on it. If you've got arthritis and you're constantly feeling pain because it's always being crushed, well, on Mars, you'll be way, 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 way lighter.
And probably 2 inches taller.
Yep. And your spine will decompress. So a lot of that pain will just go away. They've talked about this. It could add, for a person who may be on their way out on Earth, it could literally add 40 to 60 years of life. So think about that. So that means we can live on Earth. 30. Well, we can live on Earth for 70, 80 years. On Earth
too, Sherry. Yes.
We can live on Earth for 70, 80 years and have a good, healthy, happy, fun life. And then go move over to Mars and spend another 50 years having another good life.
Why? Why would you want to do that? That's a bunch of horse crap, man.
Why, man? It's a great place. You get to see the universe from another place. Because you never know what you're going to see. And then Mars, you're going to see a whole different sky. You're going to see things that you've never seen before there. Earth is great, but Earth is crowded.
I would go under the stipulation that Kodachrome sends me free film in black and white and color as long as I'm up there, and I'll go out and take pictures of the sky. There's the skylight pictures that Rover sent are absolutely phenomenal. I would love to see that with my own eyes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You get to see all of that. You'll get to explore. Do you realize you'll actually be able to drive and not see anyone but you for hours on end?
And you'd be bored shitless. Excuse my language, Dr.
Not me, man. You'll have he's putting Starlink over there, so you'll have Starlink. You'll be able to talk to everybody. You'll have
Direct TV and Roku and the internet and all that stuff.
There might be some little radiation interference every once in a while because the pictures come.
This is all my Star Trek friends.
See, Dr. Scott and I could set up a little astronomy lab back on the other side, doing UFO huntings on the dark side of Mars. Yeah, right down there. What's the name of the Mariner Valley?
The Marianella's Valley.
Yeah. Yes. Man, Mars is beautiful this night. I'm just saying, guys, it's prettier than it is on Earth. Well, for two reasons on Earth. One, we do have a much thicker atmosphere, and two, we have a buttload of pollution, and we have a buttload of light pollution. So,
and
it
crime
makes it way harder. Yes.
Dr. Scott, watch this. Watch this, Dr. Scott. To me, Mars does not exist. Mars doesn't exist.
But I have a picture of it on my phone. Right there. There's Mars. Why would it be on my iPhone?
I think she just smacked you.
She did. Yes, she did.
That was good. Oh, that was good. I love that. Dr. Scott. That was good.
I like to throw that in, Dr. Scott. Just cheer everybody up here.
Jesse. No, we got to take a break, but I was going to so we got another hour if you want to stay with us, Dr. Scott. We usually bring on guests for 2, but you can stay as long as you want. I always like to tell everybody that. I don't want to think we're like hijacking a guest and making him stay with us crazy people, especially Santa Claus down there. He's a little
Before we go to break,
Oh, yeah,
maybe
I
we should
am.
throw out a question for the book giveaway. What do you think? Because we forgot to do that.
Yeah,
Last hour.
go ahead and spit
All
it
right,
out.
Jay, what's your question?
There it is, right scrolling across the bottom. How did sound designer Ben Burt create the sound effects for the lightsabers?
I know.
Scrolling on the
Anybody
bottom.
out there in the chat room?
He does not like you people. Jay does not like you people.
It's a hard one.
I gave you some flush question like
Hey,
who was Darth
listen,
Vader.
for $50, I'll give you the answer.
So anyway, we're going to be giving away.
No,
John
I'll
actually
be like, give you $50.
John
I'll
actually
tell you
talked
the answer.
about this book. He talked about this one in the last show.
Yeah.
Buckskin. This might be porn. No, it's not. This is now this is actually an interesting book. This is about Native Americans. Yes, it's about Native Americans. You can read it. This is a scary book called Fear. Ooh, fear.
L. Ron Hubbard.
Yes. These are all courtesy of Writers of the Future. They send us a lot of books every year. So let's see. This is volume 35 of Writers of the Future Awards. There's some great things in there. This is an autograph copy. Okay, this was sent to me. This is an autograph copy. There's some very famous people in here. The guy who did this picture is one of Disney's top artists. He's also one of the judges there. And then we've got this. This isn't a book. This is, let me beat you in the head with something. Battlefield Earth. Look at the thickness of it. Look at the size of it. This book weighs like 2 pounds. It's I mean, I could use this to beat my stepchildren on. What's it, Jack?
Dr. Scott, excuse me, Dr. Scott, are any of your books on audio?
Yeah, I think all of them are.
Excellent.
They're all
Somebody
on
there.
Amazon. I think all of them are on audio.
Well, if you want to
Okay, great.
contribute, we're
That's
giving
the
books
only way.
away. I mean, go ahead, Sean. Let me catch up.
So the 10th person to get your
Oh, no,
10th person. I rolled a
10th
dice. Number 10 came up.
Number 10.
Okay, Jay, I bet you 2-1. Nobody gets the correct answer, and we'll still have a different.
Well, he's gonna
question next
have to send me the answer because I have no idea.
Oh,
what it is.
I have it. I'll get it for you.
Mhm.
week. I know what the answer is. I looked it up last night because I was going to make $50 off of people in the chat room because I knew the answer.
Do you want me to find
Oh,
out?
got close.
I have it.
Oh, see, Ken.
Oh, I'm in
Dr. Scott.
airplane mode. Never mind.
Curtis. No, that's for all four books. We're
Here's
sending
the
them one
answer in
person.
private chat. Please don't give it away.
Yes. So anyway, what I was telling Dr. Scott is, if you ever get the urge, you can always send us books because we give them away all year. We start the November 1st and we give them away till the first week of January. Last year we gave away almost 3,000. A year before that, about 2,600. We're going to break 3,000 this year. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cases of books sitting next to me over there. So, and I still haven't given these away. This is the Into the Stars and the Monroe Doctrine. There's also books we're giving away. We get a lot of books, James. We like to give books away. We believe in literacy.
And we forgot to give away one last night, so we have to double up today.
Yeah. And we do give away audiobooks when we have them. Oh, I prefer audiobooks because I don't really have as much time to read as I used to. But audiobooks I can throw in while I'm in the car or when I'm working on a website or something. I can just turn it on and listen.
My car doesn't have a
That's
CD
why
player,
I-
so an audio
I
CD
need a more-
book wouldn't work.
I don't know. But I don't know. I like audiobooks better because it gets more intriguing. Plus, I can't read. I really do. I'll be the first to admit I have ADHD, and no, seriously, Jay.
No, I like the audio
No,
books.
I'm laughing with you. I have severe dyslexia. Reading is very, very difficult for me. So
Now we can always auction this one off here.
which one is this? Oh yeah,
Let me see. Can y'all see that? That's
Battlefield
audio.
Earth.
That is 48 hours. 48 hours. This is Battlefield Earth, complete, unabridged, all the special effects, all the sound effects, all the actors. It's actually quite fabulous. And one of my favorite guys is Jim Mesclin's in there. But you know what? I listened to Mission Earth, which is also another one. It's 10 books. Took me a year to make my lazy self listen to the whole thing. It was really good. And Jim Mesclin played the bad guy, who was just a sleaze, you know what. But I enjoy it. And I like a good audiobook. And, and Chris, to answer your question, I don't always have to have all the bells and whistles as long as the person reading the book has a good voice. No, I like the bells and whistles, but I don't have to have it. Especially like when we're talking about topics like UFOs and paranormal. I don't actually need all of that. But if I'm listening to a book like a novel or something or a short story, I like the bells and whistles.
Well, first novel I heard in audio was on CD. My friend in Savannah, when I was down there, he lent me I think it was like 6 or 7 CDs. That's how long the book was. It was Timeline by Michael Crichton, and it was read by David Ogden Stiers, who played Winchester on MASH. And he did everything. He read the whole book and did all the different. He made his voice different for different characters, except for, I think, for female voices. There was a few other voice actors for that, but whatever was written by Michael Crichton, David Ogden Stiers described perfectly, and it was quite good. I enjoyed it.
Dr. Scott, Jamie writes in from Wisconsin. She said, "Can I just get your books at any Barnes and Noble or Books A Million or anything like that?"
I don't know. I think so. You can probably get them on Amazon for sure.
Yeah. Amazon.
No, well, yeah, but no, I was just asking Dr. Scott if she didn't get all of her books on Books A Million and places like that. Barnes and Nobles. I mean, usually nowadays, I think you can get any book anywhere. But where are you publishing at, Dr. Scott?
With Flying Disc Press in England.
Okay. Oh, all right. Yeah. Okay. That makes actually sense. Now my brain is off somewhere else. No, you can. Well, when in doubt and you can't find some, just look it up on the internet, type in the title of a book, and usually it'll tell you where you can get it from. Yes. Well,
yeah, it's mainly in Amazon.com because anybody can get that has a computer.
Yeah. It's what do you mean? Why do we give away so many books? Well, I get a lot of books sent to me for guests. I get a lot of books sent for other things. A lot of people know we do giveaways. Like Barnes and Nobles will usually send us 300 or 400. It's usually books they have left over, and they're like their science or mystery or sci-fi categories, and we'll give them
which
away.
me and Jay are not allowed to get because we're part.
Yeah.
Yes. We're not.
Unfortunately, hosts on the network and stuff like that are allowed to participate, but everybody else is, and we do give a lot away, and and there's. Let me see. Behind me right now, there are at least over 100 different authors represented, at least, because 4 of these books all have 12 authors each in it. They're anthologies, so they all have at least 12 authors each in it. Most of them have more like 14, and then these are all individual authors. All of these are there. Game On, this one, this one, this one. That's the X-Files. That's by Kevin J. Anderson. There's a lot of good writers up in there. We got some Tim Powers works up there. He's the one who wrote A Stranger Tide, which of course is the Caribbean movies, and he did that. And then we got Ender's Game up there, which is Orson Scott's book, which was he just didn't like the way who they made Ender. He kept telling me he kept saying, yeah, but he said Ender should have been younger.
Oh, wow.
He said Ender was like he was like preschool or mid school, like 10 or 11, not 14 or 15.
Oh, okay.
And so, he said it bothered him. Yeah, he didn't, Oh, no, I had both the Dune writers on. Yeah, just recently. Yes. Don't get me started on Dune. No. Because it has nothing to do with
I'll keep you out on go up on Dune.
It's I haven't seen the new one yet. I'm waiting to see it. I've seen the other two. I've seen the first one before anybody else saw it. They previewed it at Writers of the Future, the very first one. The actors were there. It was in a private setting with only about 300 people. I don't even think it was that much. I think it was less than 100 people, actually. And we got to see it, and it was pretty good. And then I got to see 2 in another private setting, and I was kind of like, I don't know. I was disappointed. Maybe I was expecting too much. Maybe the disappointment's on me. I don't know. I like the actors. The actors are fun. It's not the actors. We'll wait and see. How's that? Yes. Well, some of these people are friends of mine, so I don't want to get my ass in trouble here. I enjoy a good sci-fi book. I do. But I'd rather it be in an audiobook. See, Dr. Scott's smart. By putting them in audiobooks, you'll sell more, because today's world is not like the old days. You don't really have time to just sit around and read a book. See, I give Linda a book. She'll read a damn 500-page book in like 15 minutes. It's like warp speed reader. No, it's not that fast, but a couple of hours she's done with it. And I remember I brought her Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, the big hard copy version. I set it down. I said, here you go, baby. I'm going to go to the store and do something. I was going about an hour and a half, 2 hours. I come back. Bam. And she said, yep, it was done. Ask me when we're going to get the next. I'm like, you're shitting me, right? That book cost me like $60. And we're talking, back then, that was actually money. Today, that's nothing. But back then, that was actually cash. I was like, what? Yep. But she likes to read. And a good book's a good book. The movie wasn't bad. The Interview with the Vampire wasn't bad. I mean, it was what it was supposed to be. And then what was the other one? Queen of the Dam? Yeah, it was pretty much what it was supposed to be. They're vampires. What do you expect? They're going to kill people, man. That's what they do. I'm like, give me a break here. Oh, you mean the Alien vampire movie? Oh, no, that was the one in London. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but the girl stayed naked like half the movie. That's probably why you liked it. It's she was so this ship pulls up, opens up like an umbrella thing, and she's down there. She releases some kind of plague that turns people into walking vampire zombie things, and it pulls their souls up to the ship, or their energy up to the ship or something. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, it was pretty big. Yeah, but that's what you're talking about. If I could remember the name, I'd tell you, but that's what you're talking about. So, Jesse, where you at, Jesse? Jesse, oh, you're from New York City, huh, Jesse? I'm going to be nice and not say nothing about New York City, okay? So what's your question? So Jesse from New York City, Dr. Scott, wants to know if you think that all this new stuff with Congress talking about extraterrestrials, does that help prove that they're real?
Well, I think they've always said they're unreal and you're crazy. And if anybody said anything about them, they had to worry about, going to insane asylum or whatever. Everybody thinks they're crazy. But now if the government's a little bit more accepting, people can talk about it, which adds to your information about what's going on, instead of everybody keeping quiet. So yeah, it's a good idea, because you don't know what UFOs are or anything else, and you should collect as much information as you can get, in my opinion.
Well, one thing that worries me is when we started collecting data, and now, how much of that data has been forgotten about, because these deep dark agencies in the 40s, 50s, and 60s was just stuffing it away somewhere, and in the 70s, even in the 80s, and people in the 90s and 2000s probably don't even know it exists. It's probably still stuffed away somewhere. And it worries me because, there was a lot of things that happened that you don't even hear talked about anymore. Submarines seeing UFOs hovering over submarines and deactivating their systems, Russian nuclear weapons coming online, American weapons going offline. Mm-hmm. All this is stuff that was real and documented, but nobody wants to talk about it. And if I was Congress today, I'd want to know, did they really shut down our nuclear facilities and then turn the Russians on? I mean, what the hell? I'd want to know.
Well,
of course, yeah, they did.
They spend all this money on security, but if a UFO flies over a missile base and turns off the missiles, they don't worry about it because it's a UFO. And I mean, how ridiculous is that?
This is a good segue from about one of your books that I saw on your Wikipedia that you wrote, UFOs Today, 70 Years of Lies, Misinformation, and Government Cover-Ups. Can you explain why you wrote that book and stuff like that?
Because I think I had my own experiences. So, and I've been in science my whole life. I mean, I have a PhD and all that. So I think like a scientist. But on the other hand, I've also seen UFOs. And so I think people in science should say more about them because we're always supposed to be the debunkers.
My son, he's a scientist. He's out in Indianapolis, and he works with DNA. It's crazy what he does, what they do with DNA today, you know. And if I ever, whenever, like, I'm a paranormal investigator. I hunt ghosts. Okay, that's what I did. And I could
Ghosts
never
aren't
have
real.
Listen, Joe, I'm talking with Dr. Scott, not you, Joe. Okay. But no, me and him, when we talked about it at the beginning, he would not say that ghosts exist. He would, you know, everything had to be scientific to him. You know, he did not believe what I believed in. And I don't know, knowing that my son is a scientist, okay, that scientific people, and I'm not knocking you, Dr. Scott. I'm not knocking the scientific field, but I'm just saying, why is it hard for scientists to, you know, actually accept what people who are not scientists? Do you understand what I'm talking about, that question, Dr. Scott?
Yeah, I think part of it has to do financial. I mean, the government has always said people that see UFOs are crazy. Therefore, if a scientist said that, you might lose your job and be out begging or something. So I think that's a consideration.
Well, most of my scientist friends they're really interested in this, but they can only go so far because of their careers. I have a lot of friends that work for NASA and some other Lockheed and a few other companies, Boeing. And the thing about it is, you know, they're interested in this, and over the years they've even helped me on investigations when I've had strange feelings that something may have not been extraterrestrial, it might have been ours. So I've actually had some help with that, but in the end, you know, they want to know what it is, and they need to know what it is. They don't need to be fighting with us what it is, but they also use it against us and say, oh, that was a UFO. Oh, no, that was a TR-3B. That wasn't a UFO. Oh, yes, that was a UFO. Oh, no, that thing over Arizona, that was a UFO. Oh, that thing over Roswell, that was a UFO. So they use it against us, even though we know it's probably theirs because of the places it's being seen or testing areas. You know, when you start seeing things flying over New Mexico, Nevada, Arizona, and southern West California, you know it's probably ours because those are all no-fly zones. So why is ET flying in no-fly zone? Like, they don't seem to give a shit any other time. So I don't know why all of a sudden they go flying in the no-fly zone. So those tend to be ours. And then I got a break a few decades back from Senator McDonald. When he was the head of the Appropriations Committee, he had an experience in New Mexico when this black V thing flew over his car and shook his car. Well, this guy tried to contact me 4 or 5 times because I thought he was full of you know what. I'm like, there ain't no senator that high up the ladder looking to talk to me. And finally, they just showed up at my house and got my attention. But he had this experience. He said he had checked everybody he could in the military, and then all the different companies he worked with, because he was a guy you had to go through to get your money for your top secret stuff. And he said that somebody he had talked to had referred me to him, that I had been doing work on trying to find out what the Aurora was in the TR-3B, which was true. I was. and I had gotten some pretty decent information. So when he finally talked me into doing it, and we finally met, and he showed up at my house, and it freaked me out because two guys in black suits and black glasses walked up to my front door and said, "The senator would like to see you in the limousine." And I was thinking, my ass, I'm going to run like hell. But anyway, I went and got in his car, and this was after really like 6 months of trying to contact me. And we went for a ride, and we talked, and we had lunch, and I told him what I knew, and he was just stunned. And he said, I said, "Oh no, what you said is ours. That's a TR-3B. It's ours. It's been flying around since like 81, 82. I said, I just don't know how you don't know about it, because they had to get the money from you. So he said, "Well, if I ever find anything out for real, I'll contact you and let you know." I figured, well, I'm never going to hear from this guy again, ever. And I don't know, 6, 7 months goes by. I hear a doorbell ring. I go to the door. There's a delivery there, and it's a vanilla envelope about this long, legal size, with it was about this thick. So I go inside, I open it up. It's a complete schematics of the TR-3B. I still have them, complete, start to finish, all the way through, types of drives, the whole 9 yards, testing things, all kind of footnotes and all kind of other stuff. And he wrote me a sweet note, because he knew I couldn't share it, because I do have a high clearance. I can get away with seeing some stuff, but it was interesting because he did take the time to send it, and it was a validation for him, because he said he went unglued and just started firing people. And he told them if he didn't know exactly what was going on, where every dime was going on, he was going to shut everything down until he did. And he found out. But it just tells you this is a senator way up there. He's an incumbent senator way up there running the Appropriations Committee, and still did not know the federal government was doing this. He didn't even have a clue. And he had to go to an outside source just to get an idea, just to go back to the inside source to find out. I mean, it does not bode well for my credibility with our government. I don't feel comfortable that they really know what is going on. We wouldn't have military abductions if the government knew what was going on. That's bottom line. There would be no need for military abduction. If they actually knew what the bleep was happening on our planet, they wouldn't need to do that. And then I get blamed for, I go on Coast to Coast one night with Melinda Leslie, and we're talking about Carla Turner's work, because we picked up on Carla Turner's military abduction work is what we did, which at the time we didn't know that she was real healthy and got stage 4 cancer and died, and all kind of other bad stuff happened to her along the way. But anyway, we picked up the work and we went on Coast to Coast, and I was answering questions about military abductions at night, and all of a sudden this guy comes in screaming on the phone, "Hi, I found out you're in charge of all the military abductions in the United States and Europe and Canada."
You're the guy, right?
I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Well, you need to tell them SOBs where's my paycheck."
Yeah.
I said, "I don't mind." I said, I'll be in charge. I'll get y'all people military abducted, but I want a paycheck, man. And then it just took off, and I would go to conferences and places. People come up, "Oh man, I mean, how do you get there? You mean, people mad because you do them alien abductions?" I'm thinking to myself, those military abductions. I'm thinking to myself, now I'm probably #1 alien abduction guy in the field, and now you're going to try to tell me it just pissed me off. But it took almost a decade for that to go away. And every now and then, still today, I was in D.C. not that long ago. Somebody asked me about it. I was like, "No, I'm not in charge of military abductions." I said I would be living in this big monstrous house on the beach somewhere,
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey,
you had your jet ski car too, probably.
I'm just, just things get out of control like that.
Doing good, Spark.
You mean? Oh no, you're talking about the surfing aliens. That was just a creepy night altogether. Yeah. No, we've been in groups and seen in groups. Well, ICAR's got a little advantage on people. One, we've got a lot of contactees in the organization, but two, we've been tracking cases in UFOs. So we're not a UFO organization per se. We don't actually keep track of where all the UFOs are. We keep track of where the abductions are. What we do is we use that to verify against UFO sightings to see how many UFO sightings are in the area where there's abductions going on, because one usually correlates into the other one. It's one of those things. But here, let me let Jay take over for a second here.
What do we got coming up? Let me change that. Did you get? Yeah, don't forget to check your email about the question, see if we got 10 answers in there. I need to change that back. I totally forgot. 100%. So I was just looking up the audio book of Dune. I know there's a version that Frank Herbert did. He, the author of the Dune books, or I think at least the first 3 books he recorded audiobooks for. He read the books, so he's got all the names pronounced correctly. And I do appreciate all the attempts at the movies. Some of them are good, some are better than others, but everybody pronounces all the names wrong. So that's why I want to get the audiobook, because he pronounces everybody's name completely differently than any of the movies.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So where are you from, Stephanie? Toucan, Washington. Where? Nevada. Well, you're gonna have to send it to me because I have no idea what you're talking
That's
about.
where Area 51 is, isn't it?
Yeah. Stephanie Mills is the one who just won the book set. Oh, you liar! You're in Utah. I know where that's at. Yeah, that's in Utah.
You got the correct answer?
She did. Yeah, Stephanie Mills is her name. She said she tried looking it up on the first time. She couldn't find it. She had to look it again. You know that's cheating. You're not supposed to tell me you cheated, right? I'm just saying you're not supposed to tell a guy run a contest that you cheated.
Yeah, wait till after he ships it out. Then it's too late.
Yes. No, I'll still send it.
But what was
she
her
owes
answer?
me $50. She owes me
What was her
$50.
answer?
Man, yo, Sean, $50. What the hell's going on here? I better be getting a cut of this, man. What's that, Gene? Stephanie Mills. Yeah, no, I gotta write it down because I'll forget when I go looking for it again.
What was her answer, Joe?
Whatever you had on your thing, I read it off the thing just now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's the only way I knew what the hell she was doing. I had to go back and read it twice. At first, I didn't think she had it right. No, Stephanie, no. You probably won't get it till next week, but you'll get it. Yeah. Just make sure you give me all your information. Yeah. Well, I thought you said Tupelo, which is Mississippi, so I got a little confused. Yeah.
Tell her to send me my $50.
Sean said send him his $50. She's like, yeah, Sean, kiss her. You know what? I cannot say that kind of stuff. Now, that's a young lady in the chat would stop that. I don't talk like that. Y'all are bad people. I'm all sweet and innocent. I don't even.
Dr.
curse.
Scott, if we had a cuss jar and you weren't on the show, we could probably buy round trip tickets to wherever we want to go. That's how much.
Yeah, because they cuss a lot. Yeah, they cuss a lot. I don't.
But out of respect for you, Dr. Scott, we're not cussing tonight.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
when
we do UF on the cover, we never cuss. But this show can get a little, insane. We'll say.
Vulgar. It can get very vulgar.
Where are you from? Oh, off of Interstate 80. What are you talking about?
Dr. Scott, do you have any other books coming up that you are writing about?
I have another one that may be coming up, but it's about history. It's not about UFOs.
Well, what kind of history? I love history. Right, you're right, Sherry. What about the history? I love history.
Well, I live on an old farm, and we recently sold it to a park, and I was kind of writing about the history of the farm, but I don't know how it's going to go.
Yeah, there's
I'll buy it. I'll get it.
Okay, good. It's not. I don't know if the book's even going to come about, but I'll talk to a publisher.
Well, do you want me to want me to write a letter to your publisher and say, you know what, guy, publish it so I can buy it?
Oh, okay.
That's what I'll do. we got pull, Dr. Scott. We got pull.
Good.
We can do that.
Okay.
What? No, Jimmy.
Sherry, I don't cuss
Carson
a lot,
City,
Sherry. I'm a nice one on them.
Oh no, he cusses, man. He cusses.
Oh,
we got a Santa Claus jar, man, because he cusses.
Oh man,
he
my
cusses.
real name. They call me Dexter too, Sherry and Dr. Scott. They call me Dexter.
Yeah.
Because Santa Claus and Dexter.
That is
How
my.
can we both?
That's my occupation. I'm a meat cutter. I use knives, so
okay.
They call me Dexter. You know,
So Stephanie is in Reno, Nevada. Reno. What's going on in Reno tonight? I'm kind of interested. What's going over there in Reno? You gambling? You making any money? Jesse, we got 19 minutes. So what do you got? No, y'all missed out. So a couple weeks back, he dressed up like Santa Claus. He was stripping with the Chippendales. It was bad, people. Jay and I had to get glasses. It was scary.
The show,
yeah.
It was scary, man. No, it scared me. I was like, whoa, that should be against the law. Yes, he got nicknamed Dexter a while back. Yes, it was just one of them things. Favorite? Wait, what? I'll ask her. So, Margaret is writing in. From where are you writing in from, Margaret? Sydney, Australia. Hey, what's going on down there in Aussie land? She wants to know, what do you think is the most significant alien abduction case in the history of the field? Whoa, that's like a monster question.
It's like the third time we've had that question, though, isn't it?
It's like
Betty and Barney Hill is going to be the answer, I would say. That's the landmark edition right there.
I don't know, Allagash.
Well, what Dr.
Irena
Scott
Brothers. Yeah, I know. What do you think, Dr. Scott? Pascagoula?
Yeah, Pascagoula. I'll see.
She's going Pascagoula. It's Pascagoula, Travis Walton, and Betty Barney Hill, all about the same fame. Yeah. Well, there's the Allagash case, the Wiener brothers, when they went out on the canoes at night. Yeah, there's a couple of cases out there. Well, there's Katarina Wilson's case where she was being taken by aliens and then paraded in front of admirals and generals and all in the Air Force. Yeah, but she's in the Air Force when it happened. Yeah. And then there's other cases besides those. There's the Cass Landry case, where the thing flew over and gave everybody cancer. That's another pretty famous case.
Yeah,
there's the case over New York where the ambassador and his two Secret Service I can't remember her name, being taken out of her 20-story apartment building.
Yeah, Linda Neal.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Thank you very much. There's a lot of good cases out there. It's just my problem is, and Jay and I just recently did this. There's not a lot of new good cases. So if you go to 2000 and you work your way forward from 2000, there's not much in the way of, I guess we'll call them popular cases, sighting cases or UFO abduction cases.
Yeah.
We've done this on 2 different shows where we pulled everything we could find off the net, and it's not much.
Yeah, there's a gap.
It's very weird. And you got to remember,
it coincides with some other rumors that have been going around in the community as well. Is that a couple of the races have left the Earth to deal with things back on other planets, particularly those who we call the Anunnaki have left Earth. It's somewhere around 10, 15 years ago.
I don't know. Maybe the reptilians did eat the other ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
Reptilians say the grays taste really good, so.
Yeah.
I'm just teasing. No, the reptilians are human.
Humans, the other white
Sherry
meat.
has a question for you guys.
What?
Here you go. Sherry has a question for you guys.
Because they saw
think the reason is?
Because they saw Dexter Santa Claus stripping.
No, because I think several of the races have left the vicinity. That's why the sightings have reduced in number.
But she's asking you why you think that, Doogie. Why you think the races left?
The reason why the Anunnaki left was reportedly to deal with some sort of conflict back on their homeworld in the Zeta Reticuli system.
Jay, you just lost me right there, dude. Can you please explain that in English? Please.
They went back to their home planet in the Zeta Reticuli 2 star system to deal with some conflict on their home planet.
Marisa, what's the
destroyed by the Greys?
Not rate. Okay, Marie, it's not Zeta Reticular. No, it's not like a tickler. I don't know what.
No, that's the word that I never heard before in my life.
Zeta Reticuli is the star system where the Greys come from, and the Anunnaki, and then there's also the map that Betty Hill drew some years later in the 70s. That I think was computer verified by a mathematician, but Joe disagrees.
Well, you gotta have a start and end point, man. You can't verify nothing without that. That's just basic. Yeah. The only way you can chart a course.
Sparky wants to know where is it at? I don't know. Sparky, this is way out of my league here, buddy.
From what I understand, the Zeta 2 Reticuli and Zeta 1 Reticuli star systems, the binary star system, is only visible from the southern hemisphere of Earth.
Give me my ghost.
And Jimmy, the map Jay's talking about wasn't even verified if that was the original map that they drew.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, because you couldn't get the original picture, wasn't nowhere to be found. That was a redraw that Betty gave her. Yeah, see, most people don't know that, but I do because I'm a researcher. It's now there was a lot of funky monkey business going on. They were trying to sell some books that was trying to change the story of Betty and Barney Hill, and I wasn't having it. I had the original abduction stuff from Dr. Simons and at least 50 or 60 interviews that the Hills did on different radio stations in the 60s. So I wouldn't put no with that shit. I knew exactly what they said. Just because she was their niece wasn't good enough reason for me to be changing the stories around. Well, because the whole group got together. First, they said they found something on her clothes, which I think at the time were 45 years old. No one's known who's touched it, where it's been, or how there's been no chain of evidence anywhere.
Yeah, and Betty somehow claims to remember it never having been washed since the incident.
And then Betty said she saw the homeworld on a pull-down map. So what's the odds of a U.S. craft have an alien map on board to show you where they live? Yeah, you know what the odds are. It's big fat ass zero. It's the way my brain works. That's why this stuff is so easy for me. It's no, Chris, because when you look at it, because she said she got it from the pull down star map. That's Betty's own words.
Yes.
So if she did, and she pulled it down and she said, this is where these people live, but yet the people she were talking to were humans, except for the short guy with the big schnoz. They gave her the paperback book. Or no, gave her a hardcover paper book. Yes. And then brought her through a pair of metal swinging doors with windows in them. Does that sound like a spacecraft to y'all? That sounds like something that belongs to humans. See, that was the whole problem. That's why Betty and Barney Hill got rewritten. That's why I said they were alien abducted in Canada where they were. And when they were put back in the United States, and the government military abducted them. I mean, they even describe in their own words: black shoes, black pants, black shirts, black duck-billed caps. That's not aliens.
Well, and Barney did continue to experience abductions up until his death in 1968 or 67.
That was a shame he died that young.
Yeah, he was 42, I think.
Yeah. What is that, Denise? Charles Hickson was an interesting character. Yeah. Well, like I said, their case got a lot of hate for some reason. More than the Hills did, yeah. Because a lot of people just wanted to call them liars. That's just what they wanted to do. They just wanted to call them liars. They didn't really want to hear the case. They just wanted to call them liars. Even
just
though
like people today.
even though the sheriff and a couple of other people that came in, I forgot the guy who came in from the district attorney, the state district attorney, he said he thought they were telling the truth. He said, I can't tell you what it was they saw. He said, but I can tell you, I think they're telling the truth.
That's what I got from all the articles I was looking at, is that all the authorities seem to agree with the gentleman. They believed what they saw. The other gentleman couldn't believe what they heard, but they all say that they believe those men experienced what they say they experienced.
I never did find out if they caught any fish that night, though.
Yeah, no one ever did ask that question.
I'm just curious, maybe UFOs are good for fishing, man.
Why don't you? Oh, man.
What do you think, Dr. Scott? You think the boys caught some fish that night? There's some good fishing at Pascagoula River. I mean, there's some good eating fish up there.
I think they had something else to worry about besides.
Yeah, I would say
if they caught anything, they quickly forgot about it. That's for sure.
Yeah, not right. That's probably what happened. He came and took his catfish. That's probably what went down. So he heard about that. He said he heard about that deep southern catfish, man. He wants some of that good catfish. No, like I said, Linda and I met him a couple of times. Last time I think was at the Broadwater Beach Hotel in Biloxi. He was very, very soft-spoken. He was very nice. We talked to him for a while. He had a manuscript for a book that he signed and gave to us. It was an interesting conversation. I never felt like he was lying to me. He felt like and my thing was, and this is what gave him so much trouble, and both of them so much trouble. They said they were robots, like we were talking about in the beginning of the show, but the media kept trying to say they were aliens. Now, maybe they were alien robots, but they weren't trying to tell you those beams that were coming out were aliens. They were trying to tell you they were robots.
Non-biological is what they're trying to say.
I don't understand why the government, well, I shouldn't say the government, but why the media had such a hard time distinguishing between the two. Any ideas, Dr. Scott? Because I'm kind of curious. I mean, they just were like, they were pretty blunt about what they were saying. I mean, both the guys were saying they thought they were robots, and here comes the nightly news. Oh, some aliens picked up those guys down in Pascagoula, and then just went to hell after that.
Well, I don't know. I mean, they were the ones that experienced it, and they felt that they might be robots. I don't know. They didn't know for sure what they were, but they had the feeling that they were somewhat robotic. And so I don't know why anybody would disagree, because they could be alien robots or whatever.
Because the media just was being stupid.
Remember, back in '73, people didn't realize what aliens were all about. And I'm sure they probably saw what was a Danger Will Wilson or whatever his name was. They had that robot on there. Maybe those guys.
Hey, don't be hating on Danger Will Robinson.
B9, robot B9. Well, no, I mean you're absolutely right. Sean, like the '70s, the culture was, it was to keep it, quashed. They didn't want no one wanted to hear about it. I mean, except for the few, like I said, the few shows I mentioned earlier, like things like In Search Of, and murder mystery shows and unsolved mystery shows, those kind of things. No one really wanted to talk about any of them, and then it wasn't until later on in like the mid '80s when the tide shifted, like during like the Travis Walton story came out and the Whitley Strieber's books came out. That's when the tide began to turn again towards the other side. When it was, people weren't trying to brush it back under the table.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, so we had all these abductions in the 60s and 70s, and we couldn't even get them to talk about them, the field, until the very late 90s and early 2000s.
Well, there were the few people that were talking to John Mack and Dr. Simons before John Mack. Yeah, that's it.
Look, let me tell you what, when we tried for a long time with MUFON to get them to look into alien abductions. And what happened was we just met some other people and started doing it ourselves. And then we were still sending stuff back to them, but it was just becoming the black hole of Calcutta. Information went in and nothing ever came out. And it was starting to get aggravating. And the more we learned, the more we got to. But still, when I decided to do Wake Up USA, a UFO study, when Jeff called me and asked me to take over the show, I was heavily doing a lot of research at the time. So it was a good place for me to vent, to get research out, because nobody talked about downloads. No one talked about abductions. No one talked about blood types. No one talked about any of the stuff that gets talked about today until after we started talking about it. And I listen. You can listen to Richard Dole and Paula Harris, Peter Robbins, Nick Polk. It doesn't matter who it is, Nick Redfern. You can go back and listen to them on Wake Up USA and hear them saying that abductions aren't good. It's bad. We should never be talking about it. And now you can go back and listen to them quoting me word for word. Which is not bad if they would just give the organization credit. I wouldn't even get pissy about it, but they don't, so I do. It's but they wouldn't even talk about it back then. They thought it was voodoo, bad. It's going to destroy the field. When it was the only thing that can bring true truth to the field, because we can chase F-47s around the sky all day long because we think they're UFOs, but it's not going to get us to the truth. Might get us to see some badass fighter jet flying around, but that's about all it's going to get us. We need cooperation, and then even the government. When you look at what the government's doing, Nancy and them, I mean, that they're still stuck. You hear stuff like, "Well, I could tell you, but it would have to be in the skiff." And then he said, "I'd have to check with my boss because I'm not sure if you could get to know." This is a senator running an investigation into UFOs in an incumbent center, and here's some idiot from a company telling her, "Well, I don't know if you get to know." Really? And who do you think you are?
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Well, I'm going to hold your ass in contempt until you tell me.
Why
and
anyone
you just go sit in
thinks
jail.
it's okay to hide this information from the rest of the planet is, beyond my capacity for rational thought. It's the penultimate goal of science, discovering life outside this solar system. Imagine the possibilities, and imagine, we all say that we don't suspect that there's any kind of danger from this. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have already. And there's no saying that they didn't. This planet has had some kind of destruction on it years and years and years ago before humans, and so has Mars and the fifth planet and other things in our solar system have been destroyed. But we don't know how or why. Why are they here? We don't know that either. However, the fact remains that they are and are interested in us, and there isn't anything we can do to even remove them from our planet if we were to be made aware of it. But just the fact of the bulk of the governments on this planet are hiding this fact is probably some kind of a criminal act, hiding that kind of vital information, need to know information, as we were talking about earlier in the show. If you don't need to know, you don't need to know. But I think the rest of us need to know if there's aliens walking around on the planet.
James, we got less than 10 minutes. Why? What do you got? What? No, because Miss Dr. Scott's going to turn into an alien if we keep her here too long. Nah, you got to stop that. No, she's been a real sweetheart. She's been given a lot of information to put up with the three of us, because we're a pain in the what. No, really. What's your question? No, actually, her and I were talking about that earlier. We'd both go to Mars. Well, Sean said we can't go to Mars because it doesn't exist. So I don't know exactly where we're going, but it looks like we're going somewhere that looks like Mars.
It doesn't exist.
Mars. And I'll only go if I can take my SLR and an endless supply of Kodak.
Could be.
What do you mean? What could?
No.
Oh well, wait. So Mikey from Philadelphia wants to know what we would have to take with us to go to Mars. Any favorite snacks or anything you'd have to take, Dr. Scott? Maybe a dog or something, a cat or
oxygen.
Yeah, that's what I said. Air.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm thinking of bringing my chihuahuas.
Canned air.
I'm bringing my
chihuahua. Brand out called Perry Air. Perryair. Perry Air. It's canned air.
Well, I'm bringing my chihuahuas and putting little fins on them so they can fly around the house. It's Denise. Oh, that's the Mount Rainier case. I was the one who investigated that. That case was crazy. It was 250 Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts plus the masters and some other logistics. And yes, they did. They had a close encounter first, and then they had a military encounter second. It took me a long time to get. One person contacted me And I was like, okay. And it's not much I can do at one person. And 2 or 3 more contacted me. And then a scoutmaster contacted me. And then I got to talk to about 5 more. And then there was 10 people I talked to. And then finally, everybody that had the experience said they would go. I just couldn't use all their names. We put the case out. MUFON never touched it. Nobody would touch it. No, it's 15 years old now, 16 years old. Don't ask me. The field's weird about what cases they like and what cases they don't. I don't know. It's like Ketzberg. Joe Ketzberg's bullshit. It's not a real UFO.
No, it isn't.
Alien. It's not an alien. It's not what I mean. It's not an alien. It could be a UFO because it's unidentified, but I mean, it's not an alien craft.
Yes, not alien.
Nope.
So,
No.
it is
got it
foreign.
from really good sources.
Russia.
It is foreign, but it's not
Probably.
it's not extraterrestrial.
I'll bring somebody on the show that will say that Kecksburg did not exist. I mean, it's not alien. It's not. Oh yeah,
Tunguska. Is that what you're talking about, Christopher? Tunguska. Yeah, it wasn't an alien.
Meteor.
Yeah, that was there's actually a name for him, but
Air burst meteor.
yeah, that's what it is. What Jay's saying is what it is, but they got an actual name for the airburst meteor. I forgot what they call it. I'd have to look it up. What are you talking? Well, you just popping off cases. Pine Gap. We the ones that brought Pine Gap back. We broke the case that they were lying, saying they're no longer around, and one of our investigators pulled up some orders they had made, some supply orders they had made after they said they had closed down the base and nobody was there anymore. So we found like a year's manifest of orders going into a closed base. He had a tune of like $5 million. So when we released it, they came back out and said, oh no, they were just in the middle of remodeling. Pine Gap, Star Wars, and the one in Harp were all initiated by Ronald Reagan, the same guy who said aliens are
all
coming.
involving lasers or particle emitting weapons of some sort. Pine Gap is allegedly, if you look at the STS-48 video, allegedly Pine Gap is from where the beam was shot that was aimed at the UFO outside the atmosphere.
We're not going to get time for it tonight, but on my Facebook page is three new tests of plasma cannons that the U.S. Air Force and Navy have.
Oh crap!
If they're not AI, the one they showed split a damn asteroid like it's nothing. Like it's butter. But we got to get out of here because I'm old and I need something to eat.
And Sean Haslett's coming up.
I got Dutch apple pie with vanilla ice cream waiting for me.
There you go.
Got a giant stub up there.
Dot Scott says she wants some. No, really. Y'all can find her. Just type in Dr. Scott and or just type in Pascagoula. Her information's on the website, so you can find it there as well. Look her up, check her out, buy a book. Get out there, be nice. No, she was talking about Dr. Phil Mantle earlier. Yeah, he's an interesting person to read and catch up on himself. He's got a lot of material out there himself. Yeah, he's been around a long time. He's been around at least as long as I have, or maybe even longer. So go check him out. See what's going on.
For being on tonight.
Thank you.
Anyway, I'll ask him when we end here in a second. But guys and girls, we're gonna get out of here. No, I'm off until Wednesday unless I decide to do something special.
I'm on tomorrow.
Yes, he's on. He does a striptease on Sundays.
Yeah.
Yeah, he dresses up like Santa Claus and he's
Chippendales Into the Night with Sean Kelly and a brass ball.
It's Chippendale Santa Claus Into the Night is what it is. But he looks good in the Santa Claus outfit. He's all.
Yeah, what do you see when he has the green one on?
Oh no! What you said, Denise? No throwing dollars, only $100 bills, baby. He's not cheap now.
No.
Oh no! If it ain't a Benji, you just keep it in your little pocket.
Or freshly hewn sides of beef for him to butcher up for you.
Oh.
Jay said he'll take some Jackson stuff. Anyway,
Denise, tell Denise that Joe's my pin.
They can hear you. They're listening to the show. But we got to go, guys. I will try to promise to put Power Talk on this week. We got all the new systems in. I got a couple of things to work on because we got a couple of new satellites. And remember, to all of our new listeners in Berlin, welcome. I hope y'all enjoying the new server. Everybody over there in Singapore who's listening to us, I'm glad so many of y'all speak English over there. It's a great group to add into our servers. To Jupiter, is that what it's called? JAPUR. That's in India, and Amritsar, is that how you say that? That's 2 new Indian servers that we now have also, so you can hear us in those cities straight off of right out of the local internet, which is really nice. What do we got? 42 days of Christmas? Oh, Thanksgiving in 18 days. 46 days of Christmas? I think that's fake news, man. I want 40 days of Christmas.
46. And here, well, how about this one? This is another one. There's a good 53 days to the new year, and then that's about it. That's all I put there. I didn't, yeah.
So
But Halloween.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, 356 days to Halloween.
Shame on you, Sparky. I should ban you for that, man. Shame on you. Anyway, I'm just teasing. But we really do got to get out of here, guys. Because I want to thank everyone for tuning into United Public Radio in the chat. Actually, Irene, Dr. Irene was actually suggested to us. She's a great guest. But when y'all have a guest like that, you can always write to me at iCar@Cox.net or one of the guys, and we'll get a hold to them. Well, we do do guests on all the shows. It's just UFO on the cover is usually where we do UFO stuff, and we're gonna invite Dr. Scott over there, but we gotta go. Okay, I know y'all don't know what gotta go means, but we gotta go.
Yeah, Dr. Sean Hazlitt's coming up.
Yeah, Sean Hazlitt will be on in 4 minutes. I don't know what he's talking about tonight. I didn't see his lineup before I came in.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But he's always talking about something crazy. So he's always talking about something fun. All right. I'll find out for you right now, but I gotta go after that. What is it?
The Mantis Paradox.
Yep, there you go. The Mantis Paradox.
Shepherds or genetic engineers.
Yes. He thinks those fake Mantis things are real. So anyway.
Good night, everybody.
But anyway, we got to go. Thanks again for tuning in, everybody to United Public Radio and the chat. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Again, any moans, bones, glitches, or any bitches or complaints, please write to Michelle DeRoche. She loves hearing from y'all. On that note, good night and stay tuned for Spaced Out Radio.
No, it's not Spaced Out Radio. It's Sean Hazlitt. Through a Glass Darkly.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Sean.
Yeah, dude. Come on. Man.
After Sean, Spaced Out Radio. And I just announced you too. That's a bad part. We out of here, man.